You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry R. women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live. You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer.
A young slave boy stood one day before the greatest ruler of his day. And God said to Moses, "What's in your hand?" And Moses said, "Lord, only I've got a stick, that's all." He said, "Well, let me use what's in your hand." And God used that slave boy with a stick in his hand to divide the Red Seas, march through a wilderness, bring water out of rocks, manna from heaven, and bring his people to freedom land. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? George Washington Carver, who was so frail that he was traded for a broken-down horse as a slave boy. And George Washington Carver, sitting in the science laboratory at Tuskegee, told me, he said, "Dr. Powell," he said, "I just go out in the fields each morning at 5 o'clock, and I let God guide me. And I bring back these little things and work them over my laboratory, and that man did more to revolutionize the agricultural science of peanuts and of cotton and sweet potato than any other human being in the field of agricultural science. What's in your hand? Just let God use you, that's all. What's in your hand? I've got a string in my hand, that's all, and I'm flying a kite. And way up in the heavens, lightning strikes it. And I, Benjamin Franklin, discover for the first time the possibilities of electricity with a string in my hand. What's in your hand? Little hunchback sitting in a Roman jail? I haven't got anything in my hand but an old quill pen, but God says write what I tell you to write. Paul wrote, I have run my race with patience. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth this What's in your hand, little boy? All I've got is a slingshot. And the enemies of my people are great and big and more numerous than we are. Well, will David go down to the brook and pick out a few stones and come on back and close your eyes if you want to and pull back that slingshot and let it go. David killed the biggest enemy, the leader of the giants, against his people, and his people became free, just letting God guide a stone in his hand. And a few years passed, and David is a king. And God says, what's in your hand? He said, I've got a harp in my hand. He said, well, David, play on your harp. And he played, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Man hanging on a cross? I've got 2 nails in my hand. Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraws thyself from me, whither shall I go? And that man, with 2 nails in his hands, split history in half, BC and AD. And what's in your hand tonight, people of Cambridge? You've got God in your hand, and he'll let you win, because he's on your side and one with God. Always in the majority, so walk with him, and talk with him, and work with him, and stick together, and fight together. And with God's hand in your hand, the victory will be accomplished here sooner than you dreamed, sooner than you hoped, sooner than you prayed for, sooner than you imagined. Good night, and God bless you.
And I do know that some of you in the East are at October 1st. Okay, Donald Duck has...
I'm going to restart the intro because we didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. All righty. Are you in the studio?
Yeah.
Okay, restart the intro, please.
All right, thank y'all for tuning in to Season 10, Episode 45 of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced in conjunction with the Front Line Blacc News. We are back after a 2-week hiatus, and we will be discussing the government shutdown at midnight and the effects of the shutdown. When are they going to start the impeachment proceedings on Trump, aka the dump, as in human shit? And we want to make that perfectly clear. Eric Adams drops out of the mayor's race. What does that mean for Blacc New Yorkers? The Democrats voted in favor of Charlie Kirk Resolution Day. Shame on you, Democrats. Why don't white crime? Where is the outrage from the white community? And
good point.
Las Vegas tourism is down due to price gouging and ICE raids. And if we have time, the latest on Ibrahim Taoure and paying homage to the Queen Mother Assata Shakur, who just transitioned last Thursday at the age of 78 in Havana, Cuba, after being in exile for over 40 years. Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced is based off the 50th anniversary of the founding of the original Blacc Panther Party for Self-Defense in Oakland, California. We started on Blogtalk Radio back in 2016 and have been around for 10 seasons now. Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced covers the Black experience from the beginning of time until 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. Yes,
It is
sir.
also
Indeed.
it is also a part of the Frontline campaign and has recently, in the last 2 years, moved from Blogtalk Radio to Streamyard. Please join us on Streamyard, YouTube, Frontline Blacc News. The links to all our channels are in the description, including Lady Chase, The Revolutionary Agenda, Jay Militant, our brother out of California, out of Sacramento, California, who was just live and is about to tap in over here. His link is in the description. The Church Kukizi, who does our intro track for the Frontline Blacc News. His link is also in the description. And the Church of Black Power, brother out of Watts, California, who's now in Houston, Texas. His link is in the chat, or excuse me, not the chat, the description. And also we have the petition for reparations. Please sign it in the description. The GoFundMe for the brother that was expelled from college in Texas for mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. To date, he has raised over $30,000 so he can transfer to a whole nother school. Support the GoFundMe Lady Che is set up. And copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use. Purposes criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. We do not own the rights to the music. And if you don't understand racism, white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything you think you understand will only confuse you. In all 9 areas of human activity, which is economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And some say health and nutrition. And that's by the great Nelly Fuller Jr., who just transitioned back in February of this year, ProduceJustice.com. When you, a Black person, are captured by any race soldier, you must never fuss, fight, or flee. Comply and defend yourself in court. Also by the great Nelly Fuller Jr., ProduceJustice.com. And last and certainly not least, racism, white supremacy is conscious and subconscious behavior to maintain white genetic survival to prevent white genetic annihilation. And that's by the great Dr. Chris Wilson, who transitioned back in 2016. All right, Shabaka.
Yes, sir. And then also, too, supplemental on the introduction, Dr. Marimba Ani is still with us. She's in an advanced stage, and I believe that she was speaking somewhere in the Midwest recently, and she's the one who developed the concepts of the Ma'afa, which is submerged herself off in the culture for about 10 years, I believe. And she was a student of the one and only Dr. John Henry Clark. And as Dr. John Henry Clark says, is that anytime that you get OTBs that's joining Black organizations, their mission is not to enhance the organization. Their mission is to destroy it from within. Government shutdown, ladies and gentlemen. It is shut down in the East, or it's shut down all over. It is 9:52 p.m. out here in Sin City, so which means it is after midnight there in D.C. Now, they talk about Black crime, it's hurting America and all that. But the biggest criminal that you have in the United States, a 34-count convicted felon who resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He's a multiple count convicted felon of how he got selected, reelected, or whatever line of crap that he pulled. It is what it is. Now, I put up there on my Facebook page of Shabaka saying, Cora, says, all you dumb bunnies, who supported the dump, he shut down the government, and you all was smart, real smart, to go up there and select that dude. All right, it is what it is. The more reason for Black economical self-sufficiency. And that there means controlling all the means of production and distribution in our communities for our self-sufficiency and for our very, very survival. Now, OTBs, if you come up here on this platform, if you get belligerent, stupid, ignorant, we have no problem of kicking your ass out of here. But if you want to talk intelligently, we will listen. And I do know the word is intelligent because that's the difference between a fool and a wise man. Not saying I'm all that wise, because believe me, I made a whole bunch of mistakes. You know what I'm saying? But you try to learn from past mistakes so you do not repeat them. And if you keep banging your head against the wall.
We're talking about it again, about this time every year.
And if you keep banging your head, yes, sir. Okay. And if you keep banging your head against the wall and expecting a different result of each time that you glide the wall upside your dome, you are insane. Okay. So you either got a hold of some bad alcohol, some bad dope, or they probably put some shit up. Huh?
It's official, Shabaka. The government shut down.
Okay, yes, sir. That is a fact. Okay, the government is shut down. Okay, so what I suggest what everybody do, yours truly included, is to go out there, get all your food products, pay your bills in advance. It ain't no
7 years.
Okay, and then
ran out of money.
Okay,
I got the clip ready, Shabaka. Whenever we're ready.
Okay, all right, and then like I said, we're gonna go on and play the clip on the government shutdown. Now, all you dumpster bunnies out there, we hope that you are happy. Okay, we really do. So when you get mad and get upset, the only one to blame is yourselves for selecting that clown. You selected a multi-convicted felon, so you know.
That'd be easy to say, you know, if we actually had a choice in the matter. It was either him or Kamala Harris. We were damned if we do, damned if we don't.
Yeah.
But let's see what this clip is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going on mute. Okay, so our people can hear the clip. Okay.
So let's take a look now at Capitol Hill, where the government at midnight, the government ran out of money. Both sides are blaming the other, while millions of federal workers brace for what is a very uncertain future. What was the final chance to keep the government open failed tonight in the Senate. Majority Leader Thune and Minority Leader Schumer had this to say.
Well, I know why we're doing this, Mr. President. The Democrats far left debate. And Democrat leaders said how high. But the far left's determination to anything President Trump has ever said or done is not a good reason for subjecting the American people to the pain of a government shutdown.
It's now that people understand that Donald Trump and the Republicans want to shut down and Democrats do not. We need to deal with this healthcare crisis now, not later. But the Republican bill fails to do that. I urge my Republican
Trump is threatening to fire federal cut programs and benefits. He also said he can do things that are irreversible. On Capitol Hill, he demanded paid cuts be reduced. Republicans would rather shut down the government than protect the health care of the American people. And with the government shutdown now in effect, Jay O'Brien joins us from Capitol Hill. Jay, what happens now?
Lindsay, it means the apparatus of the federal government slowly grinds to a halt. The longer a shutdown goes, the worse the effects become because money begins to dry up. For the nearly 4 million federal employees, it means that if the government shutdown continues into the month of August, they will start missing paychecks. The first federal paycheck of October is already going to be processed because it's that already said go out this week. But then there's another paycheck that comes up for federal employees. We're talking about troops, their families, other federal employees in the middle of the month. And if the shutdown lasts until then, they will miss that crucial paycheck. There will be some employees that are told to come to work and still work without getting paid, and they will ultimately get back pay assuming the shutdown ends. Those are employees like TSA TSA agents, air traffic controllers, people that do weather forecasting for the National Weather Service. And then other federal employees will be furloughed and told not to show up to work. That will start to happen today in Washington, D.C., OMB says. Those employees will start to get their marching orders as of today. But as the shutdown grinds on, if it lasts for a certain chunk of time, money will start to dry up in key federal programs like SNAP, which is the Nutrition Assistance Program for lower income Americans, like WIC, which is nutrition assistance for mothers and infants. And the list goes on. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that will still be processed, but you can also see delays there too the longer the shutdown rolls. It is a slow grinding, as I said, of the federal government to a halt that could be seriously detrimental for millions of Americans.
And if history is any indication, any predictions here as far as how long a shutdown could go on?
The longest shutdown in U.S. history was 35 days, Lindsay. That was in the first Trump administration. But right now, neither side is really close to a deal. As you heard earlier, Democrats are holding out. They want an extension of Obamacare tax credits. Republicans are accusing Democrats of holding a gun to the head, as the vice president said earlier, of the federal government to negotiate. Democrats have said, look, they want to negotiate with Republicans. Republicans have said, don't do that with the federal government in play. We'll negotiate at a later date. But it's really up to Democrats here. They feel right now that they have the political momentum to try to extract this concession on these Obamacare tax credits out of Republicans. They feel they have the political will, but the longer a shutdown grinds on, the question facing Democrats is how long will they be willing for this to last?
Jay O'Brien from Capitol Hill. Thanks so much, Jay. And not long before the shutdown, we caught up with New Jersey Senator Andy Kim. All right, let's just start here. Where do we go at this point?
Right now, it is inevitable that we're going to have a shutdown in 3 hours, and that is an abdication of leadership. You know, that really falls upon President Trump, the leadership in the Senate and the House on the Republican side that control the gavel. So this is something where the American people are waking up, seeing the type of abdication of leadership and dereliction of duty. You know, I'm here at the Senate. We've been here all day. We've been trying to negotiate all week. But what I will say, who is not here are the people in the House Representatives on the Republican side. Speaker Johnson sent them home, told them not to show up. So while those service members that you were just talking about, federal workers, are going to have to show up to work tomorrow and not get paid, these Republican members of Congress refuse to even show up to work. And that's why we're here today.
You held a town hall tonight to talk with your constituents about the impacts of a shutdown. Tell us about that conversation.
Yeah, right after the votes that we had in the Senate, I did a telephone town hall across New Jersey. We had over 6,000 people dial in to be able to listen to this. And what I heard from them was people talking about, they were talking about concerns. Need to hold the line. She can't afford healthcare. She would get, she's not able to continue to get the support for the marketplace. And we talked about the challenge that her facing, but she put it in the context saying this is a challenge that people are hearing and facing all across America right now. This is real. This is something that cannot be looked at as just a partisan power struggle, as a more political parties trying to see who they blame. Real things are at stake. And then millions of Americans will many of them will see about 4.5 million Americans will lose their health care. Over 20 million Americans will have to pay extraordinary prices. This is a crisis of Republicans making, and we have to do everything we can to solve it.
We spoke to a Republican senator from West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito, a few hours ago. We asked her if she was concerned about the cuts to the Affordable Care Act that Democrats are in part shutting down the government over. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I'm absolutely concerned. 60,000 West Virginians get a subsidy for their premium support. That doesn't expire until December 31st. That begins a new year of premium support in January. We have time to work on this issue. We've been talking about this issue with our Democrat counterparts, with the president. I think the president is very interested in seeing that we reach a solution here. And so I think that what you're going to see is some kind of compromise, but we have to keep the government open while we reach and have those negotiated talks on premium support.
If Republicans are willing to negotiate over this, why shut the government down now when the deadline of the ACA is December 31st?
Well, it's not December 31st, and that's the problem, is that is out of touch with what is actually happening. The fact is that the open enrollment begins on November 1st when it comes to people getting their health care. And a lot of families are going to be looking at the increased costs and say, I can't afford that. I'm going to have to lower the type of coverage I get or get rid of it altogether, and have to make some really tough choices. They cannot wait till Thanksgiving or the end of the year to be able to get that clarity. This is a crisis right now, and we have to respond to it. And that is what I just fail to see, how my colleagues can be so callous in the face of so many challenges that Americans are facing with their loved ones or themselves to get care when they need it most.
Just how concerned are you about the fact that the White House is threatening not to just furlough workers, but to fire them?
Yeah, again, it just shows you just the extremism of what they're doing. And they're threatening to fire federal workers. They have already fired hundreds of thousands of federal workers. Their budget that they're trying to ram through would fire hundreds of thousands of federal workers. It is an attack upon our government and, frankly, our Constitution in terms of how we're trying to engage. And I say that as someone who worked as a career federal public servant in the civil service. I worked under both Republicans and Democrats in the White House. These are the people that are helping our government, helping our American people get the services that they need. And again, the idea that these service members and our government employees are showing up to work every day, even though they're not getting paid, while Speaker Johnson has given the Republicans in the House of Representatives a free vacation, while they are still getting paid, by the way, the president and the members of Congress get paid, I find that to be absurd. That's why I'm not taking pay as long as government is shut down. I'm going to stand with our federal workers and the American people to be able to help try to deliver the needs that so many of them are calling out for desperately.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now Avery, director here at ABC News. So Avery, who are the federal workers expected to be furloughed or fired as a result of the shutdown?
Right. So anyone who is not considered essential, so those workers who are not protecting life or property can be furloughed or sent home without pay. These federal agencies in places across the country, think about workers who are performing administrative or research or policy functions. Those are the kinds of folks who are going to be furloughed. Now, in shutdowns past, we did not see federal workers fired during a government shutdown, but we have seen the Trump administration dangle the threat of firings. And that, of course, comes on the heels of other firings of federal workers that we've seen since President Trump has taken office. So, of course, we are watching to see if that happens. And if it happens, if those firings can even pass legal muster.
Now, Republicans, as we know, are saying a shutdown could have been averted if Democrats simply supported a clean continuing resolution, as they described it. But what kind of pressure are Democrats facing from their base to hold firm?
Right. I mean, there is polling that suggests that Democratic voters want to see their party fight harder against this administration. And let's be frank, in Washington, D.C., Democrats have very little power. And so this is a big, visible moment for them to try and force the Republican Party and the Trump administration's hand. And so they argue that this is really about the Affordable Care Act, about those subsidies, about Medicaid cuts, about health care access. Republicans, they say, need to come to the table and negotiate a deal on this. But it remains to be seen if Democratic voters or any Americans are going to side with them on this. This is a huge political gamble.
And so at this point, where does Congress go from here in the days, perhaps weeks ahead?
Well, those lawmakers are going to have to come to the table, come together and negotiate. But because tensions are so high, it's unclear if there's any sort of off-ramp here. It is remarkable because one of the core responsibilities of Congress is to fund the government. And tonight, both parties and lawmakers in both parties have shown that they are unable to do that.
And what role does President Trump play at this point?
I mean, it's no secret that the Republican Party is taking its cues from the president. So what he says or does in this moment could help this shutdown that is most certainly coming, help that come to a close, or it could extend it. We have seen the president sort of inflame tensions here The question becomes, does he encourage Republicans to come to the table with Republicans to end this shutdown, or does he encourage them to hold the line on this?
ABC News political director Avery Harper, we thank you so much.
All right, Shabaka, that's the end of that clip. Shabaka, you're muted.
Okay, so what they should be doing is starting articles of impeachment against Trump, but however, that there's in a perfect world, to quote you, okay, what it is that Trump is egotistical, okay? He's doing this out of spite simply because there are certain groups who don't agree with him, and he's figured that he would make it more difficult for them. So now he's going to start doing the blame game. Now, didn't Trump in his first regime had shut down the government twice, I believe, if memory serves me correct?
Yes, it was at least twice, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is his third time of shutting down the government. Now, with him being the chief executive of the government, goes to show his incompetency. You see what I'm saying? Or the old bastard just might be getting senile. You see, because what is Trump now? Almost 80 years old. And he was talking about Sleepy Joe. Okay, he's 79. And he was talking about Sleepy Joe. So now you got Nightmare Trump. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then keep in mind, this is not going to affect Trump or his family personally because he's a multi-billionaire. And you should not have billionaires being chief executives of any governmental entity, rather at the federal level, rather at the state level, or rather at the municipal level. You see, because like, look at Eric Adams. You see what I'm saying? That we're going to be discussing in a few minutes. You see what I'm saying? Then also, too, look at this damn cross-eyed Kash Patel. How dare you, Kash Patel, going to tell our people not to but not to recognize the passing of one of our icons. You say, that's not going to happen, homie. So you might as well go get your crooked eyes straight. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that there too, Mr. Patel, don't you come from a society with a caste system that his brother Che has a lot of knowledge on, is that everybody below a particular caste system is looked at, hey, Mac 285. And also too, by the way, you know, I know Jay Militant going to be up here with us in a minute, is that the Super Bowl will be going back to Levi Stadium. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it will be going back to.
Hi, Shabaka.
Huh?
The Panther Kitty says hi.
Hey, kitty. Yeah, keep them claws sharp. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know. And then the cold part about it is, too, is that we as a people should be controlling all facets of Major League Sports, from the ownership all the way down. Okay, it's because we produce the wealth for that. You see what I'm saying? And then Mac 285, if we get trolls in here, man, please whack that tool wrench upside their head. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have time for idiots.
He be sniping them trolls. He be on it, Shabaka.
Okay, right on, Mac 285.
Getting these trolls out of here. Lady K, she wanted to say something. She's also here. Say hi, Lady K. The government shutdown.
Hey, how you doing?
Right now.
And
the newspaper, or the online newspaper, that, you know, we barely got in with this food stamp thing.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it's only gonna be for this month though. The way the article reads, kind of ugly. So, and it's just gonna get uglier and uglier. So I hope these motherfuckers are severely happy with themselves, because there's going to be a lot of motherfuckers hungry and homeless.
Mac is shouting.
Well, indeed. And then that's the cold part about it. So just like how they were saying is that brothers and sisters have been advocating for the last couple of years, grow your own food. Check out what Brother Che does with the community garden. And this is the more reason to prove it. You see what I'm saying? And then get this here, people. I go off into the grocery store about 2 nights ago, right, to get me some victuals.
Yeah.
So I called the store man over there, and I say, Mr. Store man, I know you're doing your job. I ain't trying to disrespect you, but you see these watermelons right here, and I don't see no black seeds in there. Do you know what that is? So the man just doing his job, you know. He says, no, man, go on and like me. This is a GMO. This is a genetically modified organism. And then also, too, a shout out there to Dr. Ken Adams, who we haven't heard from in years, who had mentioned about the dangers of the GMOs and how that they are programmed to target the procreative life organs of Black women. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Dr. Adams, if you're out there, man, I hope you're safe, man. You know what I'm saying? And we appreciate you. And we don't hate you because you're white. You know, you was just speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so we appreciate you on that. Okay. Now, also, too, another thing as well. The Chicago Bears beat the Raiders. Okay. Raiders. By 1 point. So therefore, Raiders, what you guys need to do is get out of town or change your fucking name. Okay. And that is to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't support scrubs. I've been a loyal fan to you clowns up in Oakland, to Los Angeles, back to Oakland, okay, then here to Las Vegas. You see what I'm saying? And you letting us down. You got Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, retire. Give it to the assistant coach, man. I saw your old decrepit ass man up there, man, walking around there like you need some damn Geritol real bad, boy, making all my aches and pains hurt. You know what I'm saying? So Pete Carroll, resign. Mark Davis, get the team up out of here. Sell the motherfucker or change your damn name. Period. You see what I'm saying? Because you guys are pirates, okay? You're supposed to be selling ships on dry land. You're out here in Sin City. You got the most perfect fan base. You got all these sinners out here, and you guys are calling yourselves pirates, and you guys going around looking like you got on pink panties. My God. Oh, by the way, did the ponies lose? I was looking at it on Monday night. I didn't see all of it.
The Broncos won.
Man,
the Broncos won, Shabaka, 28-3. 28-3, Shabaka.
Okay, all right. And so now we need San Diego to lose.
Great news.
Raiders.
Great
okay,
news.
we need San Diego to lose. They're undefeated. Raiders. The only way that you'll get my respect back, even if you lose to the Broncos, okay. You got to get 3 victories in a row for me to give you back my support. Otherwise, I'm going to crumb bum on you scrubs. I will do a live feed from Allegiant Stadium and tell you that you ain't shit. I will do it. You know what I'm saying?
I want to see
Let's
that.
see. And then, and this is very, very disappointing to all us loyal Raider fans. Mac 285, you ain't gonna get no argument from me on that one, bro. Yeah, you ain't lying on that there, Mac 285. I have to agree with you on that, man. Really, I do. You know what I'm saying? But however, I still dig the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I'm saying? I have to give Frisco its respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Jay Millie's
And then,
team.
by the way, they had a linebacker by the name of Ken Norton Jr. Okay, Mr. Norton Jr., I don't mean no disrespect to your family at all.
Yeah.
But you are a far much better football player than your father was as a boxer. No disrespect to you, Mr. Norton, whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Boxing ain't nothing nice. You see what I mean? And but I do respect it. But see, ladies, us men folk, we love the human drama of athletic competition. Now, there are those who says that sports are nothing but breads and circuses to keep the attention off of what's really going on with these scandalous ass politicians. Believe it or not, the irony of it is it makes us more aware of these scandalous politicians. Now, let's look at the owner of the Washington Commanders. Well, if you call it don't dig the way how we doing things here in the NFL, you might as well need to go on and form your own damn league. Nothing could be closer to the truth, is because with the talent level that we have, okay, I honestly believe within a 3 to 5 year period is that we could cripple the NFL if we do own our own major league sports teams. Not only in football, but also in basketball as well. I yield.
Shout out to Ice Cube for the big three, and shout out to The Rock for the UFL and the AFL.
Oh yeah, and they're making the autobiography of The Rock.
The XFL.
XFL. And you do know that they're in the process of making a film on the life and times of The Rock, Mr. Johnson, who's the son of the former wrestler Rocky Johnson. Okay. Yep. All right. So therefore, and if you was living in LA there in the late 1960s, everybody remembers wrestling from the Olympic, Rocky Johnson, Freddie Blassie, Don Carson. And I have to give it to those guys is because the moves that they make, the way they fall and stuff like that. So that does require a lot of training, you know, just like any other athlete. You see what I mean? You know, to make things happen. And then how they would have all this shit up under the ring, like folding chairs and clubs and sticks and all that. Now that day is crazy as hell. You know what I'm saying?
So let's move on to the next topic, and that's Eric Adams.
Oh, yeah, Eric Adams. Yeah, Eric Adams. Hook him and book him. Throw his ass in jail. Throw him in the sewer. Make him homeless. I don't have no respect for that punk, okay? Yeah, Mr. Adams, I'm talking about you, man. Yeah, you. You ain't shit, okay? Then when your sorry ass got inaugurated the first time, I asked the man, sister's gonna ask you specifically, well, what are you gonna do for black people in New York? You ignored the sister. Bull, when the mighty whiteys come up there, you just skin and grin, look like Stymie and Buckwheat. You know, Uncle Remus, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. I got plenty of nothing, and nothing is plenty for me. Nothing is plenty for me. And then I want to give a shout out there to that brother who saw Uncle Tim Scott with his beaver-looking ass, and the brother told Uncle Tim Scott that he wasn't shit. Facts. He also told him that he was a sellout. Facts. Uncle Tim Scott is that Negro that Malcolm described, with the field Negro and a house Negro. Yep. Field Negro says to the house Negro, let's escape. Let's run away. What the house Negro say? Man, you must be crazy. What's better than what we got here? Sad, 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 sad. And then also, too, I'm reading this book on Freddie D, you know, so it's a college book, you know what I'm saying? It's like 750 pages long. Yes, so I got to start that mighty task, you know what I'm saying? And then also, too, I think you did mention our man there, you know, the real McCoy. I think you mentioned him a little bit, Brother Che, of what we had discussed a while back, you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot, you know, and I didn't have time to pick out any passages to read out this out here tonight. But however, there is a chapter here called Men of Color to Arms, okay? And I believe that man, Dr. D, when he was alive, he was telling me that a family member of his had found a document listing the name of the soldiers out the New Jersey regiment. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, that's news and what have you. Because, see, ladies and gentlemen, Black history is 24/7, 365 from the beginning of times, you know. And then out of this here, I want to read a poster here, not getting off there. And let me know if I drift off subject, brother.
You are drifting off topic, Shabaka. We got to get to Eric Adams. So I got.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Eric Adams, yeah. Yes, Eric Adams. Okay. So we'll save that there for another edition. Eric Adams, like I said, man, you belong in jail. You're a punk. Okay. And I'm glad that you ended your reselection bid. All right. Now, what did this Gumby ass looking clown got to say? Now I'm putting myself on mute so we can hear Eric Adams. Okay, Brother Chet, we ain't getting no telemetry on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now who is this dude up here talking? Okay, we're not getting no telemetry on the YouTube video, Brother Chet.
Streamyard, what the fuck? Let me start
yeah, man, yeah. Well, people, you see, when we have problems like this, hey, twin, okay, glad you're in the house. Thanks for joining us, twin. You know, and
salute, twin.
Yeah. And then two is that Eric Adams. Okay.
I'm starting to click on.
Okay.
My re-election campaign.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced in a video post on X Sunday that he is dropping out of the race for re-election.
The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign.
Adams, while reflecting on his achievements as mayor, says he couldn't continue his reflection campaign because of persistent media speculation about his future and the city's campaign finance board withholding funds, which made it impossible to run a credible race. He also warned New Yorkers to beware of political movements that want to dismantle established systems, hinting at concerns about his opponent's agendas.
Extremism is growing in our politics. Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos.
New York-based attorney and political commentator Manny Alejandro offered a different perspective.
None of what the mayor is saying has anything to do with him dropping out, right? We all expected this to happen. It was a matter of when, not if. And look, the mayor's not polling well, has not polled well.
Recent polling from Pix 11, Emerson College, and The Hill have placed Adams in single digits, far behind frontrunners Zohran Mamdani at 43%, Andrew Cuomo around 28%, and Curtis Sliwa at 10%. Alejandro also connected Adams' campaign finance troubles to this struggle.
The reason being is he had some finance issues. So to me, what happened was he was in a really bad situation with his case.
The three remaining candidates responded quickly to Mayor Adams' exit, with Democratic frontrunner Zohran Mamdani shifting his focus now to Andrew Cuomo.
And to Andrew Cuomo, you got your wish. You wanted Trump and your billionaire friends to help you clear the field. But don't forget, you wanted me as your opponent in the primary too. And we beat you by 13 points. Looking forward to doing it again on November 4th.
Andrew Cuomo applauded Eric Adams' decision to leave the race.
I believe that Mayor Adams is wholly sincere in his belief that this is one of the most important elections of our lifetimes, and that we are facing an existential threat in an extreme radicalism that threatens the existence of this city as we know.
And Curtis Sliwa vowing to stay in the race despite just this week saying he received bribes to drop out.
1 down, 2 to go. That's Cuomo and Zoran Mandami. But it's good. The soap opera is over. Whoa, what Eric Adams put us through. So now let's get back to the point of running for mayor. 37 days, 37 nights. Let's stick on the issues.
And after decades of public service and as the city's 110th mayor, Adams reaffirmed that while his campaign may be ending, his commitment to fighting for the city remains as strong as ever.
Although this is the end of my re-election campaign, it is not the end of my public service. I will continue to fight for this city, as I have for 40 years since the day I joined the NYPD to make our streets safer and our systems fairer.
Okay, now what do y'all, Eric Adams, what are you going to do about them cops in New York that beat that brother to death?
With his family, and he won't be doing any media interviews. In the meantime, Adams' name will still appear on the ballot as it's too late to be taken off. Reporting live in Queens, Corey McGinnis, Pix 11 News.
That happened in upstate New York.
Okay.
You're talking about Booker.
Yeah. But I'm just saying this.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Moore. And I'm Alan Devlin. Thank you for being here with us. The mayor making that announcement this afternoon on social media, ending weeks of speculation about his long shot bid, only polling in the single digits.
The move comes with just 37 days until the election. And now that leaves us with three major candidates: frontrunner Zoran Mamdani, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Republican Curtis Sliwa. Tonight, New Yorkers are reacting to the news with a mix of surprise and resignation. We have team coverage. Lisa Rosner is talking to voters, including those who wanted Adams to keep fighting. But we want to, of course, begin with Marcia Kramer. Marcia.
Well, Jessica and Alan, Mayor Adams says he dropped out of the race because of a confluence of events, including the fact that he didn't have the money to run what he called a serious campaign because he was denied public matching funds. But he left the race with a dire warning about the Democratic Socialist frontrunner, even though he never mentioned Zoran Mamdani by name.
Too often, insidious forces use local government to advance divisive agendas with little regard for how it hurts everyday New Yorkers. Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos.
Eric Adams abandoned his bid for re-election with a warning to those New Yorkers who seem poised to support Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani. He never named him, but then he didn't have to. Of the three major candidates left in the race, he is the only one who fits his argument. Andrew Cuomo is a moderate Democrat, and Curtis Sliwa is a Republican.
I urge New Yorkers to choose leaders not by what they promise, but by what they have delivered.
Adams' decision to fold his political tents was based in the reality that he couldn't win. No money, public support in the single digits, the decision by Donald Trump to make his corruption indictments disappear. But it set off an intense battle of name-calling among the three remaining men. Andrew Cuomo trying to make it seem like it's a two-person race between him and Mamdani. He echoed Eric Adams.
If Mr. Mamdani were to succeed, New York would not be New York. The intolerance that Mr. Mamdani represents, the judgmentalism, the division that he causes among the people in New York, the city would be splintered.
Mamdani unconcerned about Cuomo's challenge.
Look, I can tell you that Andrew Cuomo wanted me to be his opponent in the primary, and we beat him by 13 points. And so I continue to be confident of our chances on November 4th to deliver a city that actually puts working people first and not one that has been led into this crisis by people just like Andrew Cuomo.
Curtis Sliwa also wants a two-man race, but with a big difference.
It's Zoran Mamdani versus Curtis Sliwa. Cuomo had his shot, he lost. So clear the field, it's law and order, Curtis Sliwa versus turn the criminals loose, Zoran Mamdani. 37 days to go. Let's get it on.
Now, Mayor Adams seems set on spending the next 3 months showing people how much he has accomplished. Everything from public safety and reduced murder rates to building more affordable housing and improved school test scores, guys.
He did accomplish significant measures during his time in office. How did we get here, Marcia, to a place where the Democratic incumbent mayor says, I just can't do it? Was it the corruption? Was it his ties to President Trump? Which one do you think was more detrimental?
Well, I think the truth was that because the Campaign Finance Board denied him public matching funds because of the corruption scandal, because it had to do with straw donors making contributions, that really put a crimp in his style, and it was unable to really mount a serious campaign.
And another big component of this entire race has been Adams' decision to step out, how that would impact the remaining candidates. Does Adams pulling out, is it going to have the impact that maybe Cuomo and Zoran are saying it might on Zoran's chances to win?
Well, I think it's going to depend on what happens tomorrow and the day after and the day after. If the people who do not want Zoran Mamdani to win can marshal behind one or the other of the two candidates, it can have an effect. You have to ask yourself this question. Is Mamdani getting over 50% right now? The answer is no. He's still polling in the 40% range. So that says that there's more than 50% who don't want him. The question is whether they can pick one person or it's split between two people and then he wins.
In 37 days from now, we will have our answer. Marcia Kramer, thank you so much. Thank you. And despite dropping out of the race, Mayor Adams' name will remain on the ballot alongside other candidates because the deadline has passed to actually remove his name from the ballot. The same goes for Jim Walden, who already suspended his campaign.
Governor Hochul reflected on her work with the mayor today. She released a statement saying, in part, for the last 4 years, I've been proud to work with Mayor Adams to make New York City safer, stronger, and more affordable. During that time, we have delivered much-needed housing for New Yorkers, including the passage of the mayor's visionary City of Yes plan. He leaves New York City better than he inherited it, and that will always be central to his legacy as mayor.
Now, over the last few months, Mayor Adams had repeatedly said that he had no intention of dropping out of this race. Take a listen.
I'm running for re-election. My legacy is locked in. No one is going to be able to do a college course and say, was that a great mayor? I'm going to be up there with the LaGuardias.
So are you going to campaign to the end of the cycle? Cool.
Yes, I'm going to keep going. People were clear in 2021 and they're clear now. You can't beat Eric at the polls.
But today, the mayor blamed unfortunate events surrounding his federal case as a main reason for not continuing his campaign. So where exactly do the people who backed him go now? Lisa Rosner spoke to voters and a political expert.
Outside Brooklyn Borough Hall, where Mayor Adams spent nearly a decade building his political career, opinions are mixed after news broke that he was dropping out of the race.
To be honest with you, I don't really care for him being mayor again because I didn't like how he handled the illegal immigration situation.
I'm curious what he got for it. I don't really want him to go. But I feel like he did a good job in his term. A lot of opportunities opened up for jobs. The streets are safer. There's police in every station.
As he announced he was dropping his bid for re-election, Adams touted those reforms, but said the reasons for not continuing were related to the federal charges against him and the Campaign Finance Board's decision to withhold millions of dollars from his campaign. Political expert J.C. Polanco weighs in.
You can't really function if you don't have the money to put your message out to counter the narrative.
How did we get to this point where Mayor Adams is dropping out?
He made some serious mistakes. Some serious managerial mistakes. He surrounded himself with the wrong people. He wanted to keep it real. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew who was the boss and was loyal to a fault. You know, then you have the indictment and the agreement to accept President Trump's support. That was the kiss of death.
One of the many questions now, where do the voters go that were supporting Adams?
But for right now, I'm still researching.
We had better options the last time around.
I'm going to be supporting Mamdani. First of all, he's the Democratic nominee, and I don't particularly like anyone that's running against him.
Voters have 36 days left to decide. Lisa Rosner, CBS News, New York.
And stay with CBS News New York for the latest updates on the mayoral election. To see all of our reporting on the race, head to cbsnewyork.com.
I think the next one's about Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist.
Okay. All right.
And welcome back
Everyone here to live now from Vox. I'm your host, Mike Grace. It's always great to be with you.
Yeah.
As we continue. And then we see video. We just want to show you a clip of it right now here on Live Now.
We've achieved campaign. The constant media speculation about my future, finance board's decision, undermine my ability to use the funds needed for a serious campaign.
All right. So with Mayor Eric Adams out, it is now coming down to maybe almost a two-person race there. We'll see if the Republican candidates will join Eric Adams as well. Let's continue to talk about this. I want to bring in our next to really report on this. And Jason, this is just another interesting part of this race. Do we have some now for Eric Adams? What do you think really happened in the last 8 hours for him to come to this decision?
No, it's a good question. As you mentioned, this is something that we here in New York, especially the people really paying attention, have been expecting.
What happened? Okay, what happened? Okay, Brother Che? Okay, Brother Che had fell off, so hopefully he'll get back off into the studio with us. Is because, these algorithms, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, they get very, very selective. And as Twin says, technical difficulties right here in the chat room. Okay, all right. Okay, see Brother Chase trying to come back in. I'm trying to add him to the stage. Okay. Okay, Brother Che, you added back to the stage, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Having technical difficulties with the internet over here at the dollhouse. My hotspot don't like it over here, so.
And keep in mind, man, they got certain ways, man, of doing things with hotspots, if you know what I mean,
Down to maybe almost a two-person
so much for free
race.
speech.
We'll see if the Republican candidates will join Eric Adams as well. Let's continue to talk about this. I want to bring in our next guest here, Jason Bieferman, with a political continues to really report on this. And Jason, this is just another in this race. Do we have something now with Mayor Eric Adams? What do you think really happened in the last 48 hours for him to come to this decision?
It's a good question. As you mentioned, this is something that we here in New York, especially the people really paying attention, have been expecting for more than the last month. There were talks about 2 weeks ago between the Trump administration and Eric Adams. My colleagues and I reported at Politico, as well as the New York Times also reported, that Eric Adams was offered a job in the Trump administration as the ambassador to Saudi Arabia. We've also reported he was offered a job to be the HUD, the Housing Urban Development Secretary in the Trump administration.
Hell no.
But those deals ultimately never went through. If you remember,
Thank
President
God.
Trump, he obviously does not like Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani is a democratic socialist. So he thought, the thinking was that if Eric Adams got a job in the Trump administration, it would make it harder for Zoran to become mayor, because all of Eric Adams voters would go to Father Andrew Cuomo. Deals, they just fell through. And, hat in hand, Eric Adams, he just decided to call quits yesterday. He was polling at less than 10%. This is the incumbent, and he's trailing the Democratic nominee, an independent, and a Republican, in a city that skews majorly, 6-1, 7-1 Democratic to Republican voters. So I think he looked at the polls and he saw that it was way better to save some of his dignity by bowing out now as opposed to finishing at, maybe even as low as 5%.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of people still speculating and wondering, did Eric Adams maybe get a handshake and a nod sort of situation? And maybe we'll see him in the Trump administration in some ways down the line. Jason, let's talk a little bit about, his name is still going to be on the ballot.
That's correct. I mentioned that 5% number. It could be that Eric Adams, even though he's no longer going through with his campaign, he could still end up getting 5% of the vote because, if I recall correctly, Andrew Cuomo's name is all the way at the bottom of the ballot. And voters, when they go into the voting booth, they might see Eric Adams' name. They might remember him as a great mayor or a Brooklyn borough president, and they might just vote for him anyway, especially those low information voters. So he is going to capture a certain percentage of the vote. It remains to be seen. But of course, his name being on the ballot will affect the outcome. And you mentioned Curtis Sliwa, the Republican nominee. He's also on the ballot. He's made clear that he does not want to drop out. A lot of billionaires or Republicans, a lot of people are asking Curtis, please drop out. Let's consolidate the vote, the anti-Zoran Mamdani vote behind Andrew Cuomo, and let's make this a competitive race. But I spoke with Curtis Sliwa today, and he told me there's no way he's getting out of this race. The only way he gets out is if he gets hit by a truck when he's crossing the street and becomes a speed bump. Those were his words to me. He's a very colorful person, but at this point, looks like it's going to be a three-way race unless something spectacular happens and Curtis does decide to leave the mayor's race.
Yeah, we were talking about Andrew Cuomo. I just want to read out just a part of his statement saying the choice Eric Adams made today was not an easy one, but I believe he is sincere in putting the well-being of New York City ahead of personal ambition. So Andrew Cuomo got what he wanted. He is almost down to a one-on-one with Mamdani. Does he have, he lost, of course, in the primary to Mamdani. Can he, though, overcome it in just about a little over a month?
I think, when Andrew Cuomo saw that Eric Adams dropped out, there was no doubt that was an amazing day for Andrew Cuomo and anyone on his campaign. But the odds are still very much stacked against him when it's polled head-to-head, Andrew versus Zoran, or I should say when it's polled Andrew, Curtis Sliwa, and Zoran, Mamdani is still winning by 14 points, 16 points. I'm looking at the polls here. There's really no scenario where right now with these three candidates where Zoran doesn't win. It would really be a spectacular performance by Andrew Cuomo if he's able to make up this gap. Of course, it's possible. This is something that Andrew Cuomo has been asking Eric Adams to do ever since Cuomo lost the mayoral primary. And so he's going to really make a push to all of the voters who really can't stomach Zoran Mamdani because of his democratic socialist policies. They might see Zoran as way too far to the left. He's talks about government-owned grocery stores. He's more lax on crime. He's in favor of decriminalizing a lot of different activities like perhaps prostitution, which is something that Andrew Cuomo really talks about a lot on the trail. So he needs to make that push, and he ultimately needs to gather more energy behind his campaign, because for a lot of people, it's not enough to say, I'm not the other guy. You really need to demonstrate a vision of why people are hungry for another 4 years of Andrew Cuomo, this time as mayor.
Yeah, that's so true there, Jason. And I just find this so interesting with Andrew Cuomo, because if we go back to, let's just say 2019, and we told people, hey, in 2025, Andrew Cuomo is going to be running for mayor of New York City, and he is going to be polling behind. I mean, people would not believe it because Cuomo, of course, is such a powerhouse name in New York.
That's correct.
Exactly.
You know, if you recall, when Cuomo resigned following those allegations of sexual harassment, right before those came out, he was at the peak of his popularity. There were T-shirts with his face on it. People were identifying as Cuomo-sexuals. Andrew Cuomo was being talked about as the Democratic nominee or a Democratic candidate for president. He was really at the peak of his popularity. Very rare in New York do we see a governor with those such high popularity numbers. And then, of course, it all came crashing down.
Yeah.
So when you look at right where he was right before all of this scandal came out, he's really fallen, and he's fallen just so hard. And, you know, New York City was never really home to Andrew Cuomo while he was governor. He lived in Albany. He hasn't had a residence in the city for quite some time. And so to think that the man who was at his sights on the White House, he belittled the office of the mayor constantly as governor. He fought with Bill de Blasio. He knew that City Hall was way less powerful than the state government. And it was just an object to be moved by him in his massive web of power. And now all of a sudden, as you mentioned, 5 years later, here he is, you know, begging for a spot to be just competitive with a Democratic socialist, a 33-year-old who's poised to become the next mayor of New York City.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild to think about when, even in the early days of COVID, I mean, his Governor Cuomo's remarks that he would make on the COVID updates, I mean, they were like must-watch TV where you had Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I mean, everyone was taking his whole speeches in its entirety.
That's right. He even won an Emmy, and he got a massive book deal, millions of dollars. That, of course, ended up being its own scandal as well. But he was a real figure that people were looking for calm and comfort during the time of the pandemic. There was a lot that was unknown, and he was this calming voice. And he's actually tried to use that in the Democratic primary, a little bit less so in the general, and tell voters, if you recall the time of COVID, I was there, I comforted you. Of course, this is all really complicated by the fact that under his governorship, there were nursing home orders, which essentially ordered some patients that tested positive for COVID to stay in the nursing homes. And, you know, the disease just went rampant in those homes. And so COVID is really a double-edged sword for Cuomo in this race, but he really wants people to remember this must-watch TV and not really think about this nursing home scandal, which of course led to lots of lawsuits, even a federal Department of Justice inquiry into his handling over the pandemic. Of course, Trump now favors Cuomo in a head-to-head against Mamdani because Cuomo is not a Democratic socialist. So we don't expect that federal probe. I don't know what the status is. I don't know if it's going anywhere still, but I think Cuomo wants us all to remember when he was that calming, competent voice with the presentations and the slideshows and the graphs, and maybe not the other issues with COVID.
Yeah, that is just so true. Jason, thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox, giving us some great insight into this really in-demand race that so many people are watching. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
You take care. All right, everybody, before we go to a break.
All right, the next one's about Mamdani, the Democratic socialist.
Okay.
Some major breaking news in the New York City mayoral race. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams, who was running for re-election as an independent, has dropped out of the race. Adams will now be the first one-term New York City mayor since David Dinkins lost re-election back in 1993.
Wow.
The scandal-plagued mayor had been struggling in the polls, with a recent Fox News poll showing him dead last at 8% behind his rivals Zoran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and even Curtis Sliwa. Here's what Adams said earlier in a video announcing the end of his campaign.
Despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
And joining us exclusively for his first live sit-down interview since the shakeup in the race, Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee in the New York City mayoral race. Great to have you back here on the set. We got to say that we weren't expecting to have you here, so we really appreciate you making time because of the news. I'll start broadly by getting your reaction to the fact that Eric Adams, who is polling fourth, has dropped out, and what this means for the race going forward.
Look, Donald Trump and his billionaire donors may be able to determine the actions of Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, but they will not dictate the results of this election. This continues to be the same election as it was when we started on October 23rd, a choice that New Yorkers have between Eric Adams' record, which is Andrew Cuomo's agenda, one that has priced New Yorkers out of what is now the most expensive city in the United States of America, or our vision for a city that New Yorkers can actually afford. And I'm excited and just as confident as I was yesterday at actually delivering that vision and winning this race on November 4th.
Do you have a sense of what's behind this decision today? We've all heard that Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, claims that he's been offered large sums of money from powerful people to get out of the way. Do you think that's what's happened here?
No, I think we have to put this in a larger context, where after we beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points in the Democratic primary, he called Donald Trump to ask what they could do together to defeat our campaign in the general election. And Donald Trump has spoken time and again about how he wants to narrow this race, how he wants to use every tool at his disposal to try and stop this campaign for affordability. And we're seeing, amidst all of that, here yet again, the moment where he is shaping this race, but we're going to show him that New Yorkers are tired of his politics and they're tired of being priced out of the city.
Eric Adams had a warning for New Yorkers in his parting message, and I want to play that and have you respond on the other side.
I must also sound a warning. Extremism is growing in our politics. Our children are being radicalized to hate our city and our country. Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos.
What do you make of that message? Do you feel that that's directed towards you and is not so veiled swipe at your Muslim heritage, but also your position, some of your policy positions? What's your response to that?
Well, I think that the only thing I truly find to be extreme is Eric Adams' record. This is a man who's raised the rent on more than 2 million New Yorkers by 12%, a man who slowed down already the slowest buses in the country, one who priced New Yorkers out of childcare that cost them about $25,000 a year. That's what's extreme. That's what's radical. And our vision to deliver affordability, it's common sense, and we're seeing that it's popular across the 5 boroughs. And what I actually think of more in Eric Adams' parting words are the ones that he gave us a few weeks ago, where he assembled a number of cameras and spoke to them directly, that Andrew Cuomo is a liar and a snake. And I think that New Yorkers are tired of that kind of politics. They're tired of considering the architect of this affordability crisis and Andrew Cuomo as being the next mayor of the city. They want a new direction.
You talked about how the billionaires in this city were very clear about they wanted to consolidate this race, to have it between you and Andrew Cuomo. Does that crystallization, you think, breathe life into the campaign of Andrew Cuomo? He welcomed Eric Adams dropping out. And there's a lot of questions as to whether or not he will now get an, cash injection of money from donors, the Bill Ackmans of the world, who wanted to see Eric Adams out, and then a consolidation of resources behind Cuomo. Do you think that will do anything whatsoever in this race for Cuomo?
You know, it reminds me of what Andrew Cuomo wanted in the primary. He wanted me to be his main opponent. And he got that. And we beat him by 13 points. And that was in spite of around $30 million being spent against us to smear and slander our campaign. And I have no doubt that he will see an influx of donations from Donald Trump donors, the very ones who have been trying to coax these other candidates out of the race. But I continue to be confident that New Yorkers can see through that. And they understand that this is a democracy. It's not something to be bought by an oligarchy. And no matter the attempts of people who are willing to spend more money than I would ever tax them, we are going to show that this is a city that deserves to be one that New Yorkers can afford.
But with the race being a little bit wider now, does that change at all the calculation? Because now it's not just the primary, it's not just Democratic members who can vote in the primary. It's going to be wider in the city.
Well, you know, the affordability crisis impacts New Yorkers regardless of their politics. I've met Republicans, I've met unaffiliated voters, I've met voters who are registering to vote now for the first time, and they tell me the same issues that Democrats spoke to me about: their rent, their childcare, public transit, the fact they just can't afford the city. And I know that this is an agenda that will speak to the despair, the disappointment that many New Yorkers have had with politics and politicians. And I understand that, because if Andrew Cuomo is the only example you had of a politician, why would you believe in them either? Our job is to show them there's an alternative.
What do you make of the state of play in the Democratic Party in New York right now? Since the last time we saw you, Hochul has endorsed you. The two of you have appeared together and are clearly finding common ground. But Schumer, Jeffries, still on the sidelines. Jeffries today put out a statement thanking Adams for his service. I mean, this is a person who actually has technically left the Democratic Party now and ran as an independent in this race. So what do you make of that? And at this point, I guess, do you even want the endorsement of Jeffries or Schumer?
Look, I will welcome endorsements from anyone across the city, and I will welcome them because we're looking to build a coalition that reflects the 8.5 million people who call the city home. And I'm proud, as you said, not only to have the endorsement of Governor Hochul, but also of Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins in the state Senate, as well as Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, because these are the New Yorkers I will be working with to deliver this agenda, to show that the relationship between City Hall and Albany doesn't have to be as tense as it was under Andrew Cuomo. It can be one of partnership and one of productivity.
But do you think those leaders are holding out in service of the people that they serve, the communities, neighborhoods that they walk through and work with every day, or in service of something else?
You know, I can't speak to the motivations. I can just tell you that I'm proud to be building a campaign that we're seeing increased excitement across these 5 boroughs, and a campaign which, you know, won the most number of votes in New York City primary history. We saw that the top 3 age demographics that came out were all under the age of 35. We registered 30,000 people in the last 10 days. That's the excitement we're seeing, which is necessary because we can't protect democracy if people lose faith in its ability to actually deliver on the material needs of working people.
So now this is a new phase of the campaign, though. You're in a head-to-head now with Andrew Cuomo, with whom, you know, there's no love loss among many New Yorkers that I talk to.
Don't forget Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah.
Well, who I respect because he takes care of animals well. But that said, so back to the race, though, there are plenty of friends of mine who they recognize your political talent, they admire you, but they worry that they're more moderate. They're worried you're going to make taxes higher, that the city is going to become more expensive, that it's going to be harder to do business here. They worry that you're inexperienced. What are you going to do what do you have to say to those moderate voters?
Well, the first thing is that I'm looking to represent them as well. I'm not looking to just be a mayor of the nearly 600,000 New Yorkers who voted for me. I'm looking to lead a city of 8.5 million people. And so much of this general election has been reaching out to those who have questions or concerns and making clear that our affordability agenda is a universal one. It's one that understands that tenants are facing rent hikes that are pushing them out of the city, and homeowners are facing a water bill the highest it's been in 13 years, a broken property tax system, the necessity of having an application of these ideals for every New Yorker. And I know that for so many New Yorkers, small business is where they find their employment. And I've spoken to many small business owners who've told me that one of the most difficult things about operating a business in the city is how Byzantine the city's bureaucracy is to navigate. Mm-hmm. And that's why we've committed to cutting fines and fees by 50% and to looking at all the regulations we have as someone who believes in regulation to ensure that these still have a resonance and an actual reason to exist today. Because some of them, when you ask a barbershop owner how many forms he had to fill out, he tells you 24 forms, 7 agencies, 12 in-person events. How is that stimulating the kind of growth we need in this city?
Is there a policy concession that you would be willing to make in order to woo more moderate voters? Or since you're the front runner, you're ahead by double digits, do you not really have to make policy concessions?
The policies that I'm running on are the ones still from the primary, but I'm also willing to speak to everyone and anyone. because sometimes the concerns are based more on a caricature of me as opposed to who I actually am. You know, there are people who have come up to me and said, how will we be able to pay for free rent? I said, no, you drop the ZE. It's freeze the rent of 2 million rent stabilized tenants. And similarly, people who ask me questions about, is it possible to make buses fast and free? I say the cost would be about $600-700 million, which is less than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk 1 year in tax breaks of $959 million. Showing people the context that we're in and building a coalition where they may not see themselves in me, perhaps, but they may see themselves in the best and the brightest that I'll hire to surround me in City Hall.
The other side of that coin, I guess, is do you worry at all as you meet with some of these leaders, moderates, business leaders who've wanted to get your time and attention here in the city over the last several months? Do you worry at all about losing connection and credibility with the young people who fueled your initial win? I mean, I met many of them who said they literally only voted because you were on the ticket, that they were glad you didn't have a relationship with all these people that they despised. But now, you know, as you said, you're willing to be the mayor for the people that they despise. So how are you going to strike that balance?
Yeah, well, I think what I've told young people and supporters of my campaign across the board is the most important thing is delivering the agenda that excited so many. Because more than people knowing my name, I have people stopping me in the street shouting, freeze the rent, shouting fast and free buses, shouting universal childcare. And it's going to take everyone to deliver that. And I think the most important part of it is honesty. When I go into a room with the leaders of the most profitable companies in New York City, we all know that I'm leaving the room in the same way, still thinking that it's right to increase personal income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers.
It sounds just like a used car
we should have the state's top corporate tax rate be that of New Jersey. There's going to be that disagreement, but I
agree,
Shabaka. Other places of agreement. I think that's what New Yorkers want. They want a politics that delivers, as opposed to one that just looks to speak to those who have every opinion they already do.
Well, he's got an answer for everything, just pumping his gums.
I'm going to give you a chance as a person who's stepping aside from politics. Do you think he did anything well in the 4 years that he served as mayor? I mean, he's still on for a couple more months, but do you think he did anything well as mayor of the city?
I think he spoke the truth when he called Andrew Cuomo a liar and a snake.
Exactly, twin.
That his steps towards the containerization
I mean,
of
twin,
trash are ones that
we're
are welcome
seeing
in
through
the
his
city.
bullshit. You know what I mean?
It was good and something should be built on.
All right. I think also maybe the first person on the show to use the word Byzantine. So we'll get.
I immediately seen through it, Shabaka. And this bastard is named after Kwame Nkrumah.
Wow. Now that there's an insult to our ancestors.
You want to hear that, Shabaka? The Democracy Now! Interview he did?
Yeah, let's hear it, man. Man, get them ponies off the search engine, man.
Never that. Never.
Man, I saw ponies up there, man.
It's Broncos all day, every day, Shabaka.
Hopefully they have a losing season.
We're at 500 now. Y'all need to get worried about getting out.
You're doing it. Yeah, y'all doing a hell of a lot better than these damn masqueraders out here. Shit, lost my support. And shout out to Amy Goodwin, because she's been doing this job here for at least 40 years that I know
after
of.
being indicted on federal corruption charges. In recent weeks,
Right, he's
7
shit,
senior
man.
city officials have also resigned,
Yeah, he is.
leaving the city government in a state of crisis. This comes a year before New Yorkers will vote to pick the next city's mayor. Adams has vowed to run for re-election, but opponents, including fellow Democrats, are lining up to run against him. We're joined now by New York Assembly member Zohran Mamdani, who is just announcing he's joining the race. He is a Ugandan-born Democratic socialist who was elected to the New York State Assembly for...
I wonder what Idi Amin would have to say about his ass being a Ugandan. I wonder what Big Daddy
I know
would
Shabaka.
say.
Like, he'd be mad as hell. He'd be rolling in his grave, Shabaka.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. I was like, what? Watch, y'all gonna hear he gonna talk about he was named after Kwame Nkrumah. He gonna quote MLK.
Okay, has he made any mention about Brother
This
Malcolm?
is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. City Mayor Eric Adams announced Sunday he's dropping out of the mayoral race. This comes after President Trump and New York business leaders pressured Adams and Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa to drop out in order to narrow the race and help disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo beat the Democratic candidate, Zohran Mamdani. The Democratic Socialist Assembly member shocked the political establishment when he trounced Cuomo in the Democratic mayoral primary in June. Cuomo is now running as an independent. Last September, Adams was indicted on federal bribery charges in a scheme spanning nearly a decade. Prosecutors allege Adams engaged in a long-running conspiracy in which he solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors and corporations. In exchange, Adams allegedly helped Turkey's government open a new 36-story consular building near the United Nations here in New York without a fire inspection. Trump's Justice Department dismissed the charges earlier this year in what was seen as a quid pro quo in exchange for Adams implementing Trump's crackdown on immigrants. President Trump reportedly considered offering Adams a position in his administration, possibly ambassador to Saudi Arabia, if he dropped out. If elected, Zohran Mamdani would become New York City's first Muslim mayor. He was born in Kampala, Uganda, moved with his family to New York at the age of 7 as the son of the renowned academic and author Mahmoud Mamdani and Indian-American filmmaker Mira Nair. On Sunday, Democracy Now!'s Nermeen Sheikh and I sat down with Zohran Mamdani in our studio. An hour after Eric Adams announced his withdrawal from the mayoral race, as polls show Cuomo is well behind Mamdani. Well, today we're joined by the man President Trump does not want to become mayor of New York. That's right, Zohran Mamdani. He's in our studio to talk about this breaking news and more. Zohran Mamdani, welcome back to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us. Respond. The significance of Adams dropping out of the race, does this surprise you?
You know, it is something that has been rumored for quite some time that this would be the month, this would be the week, this would be the day, and today we've finally seen it. Yet it is also an encapsulation of so much of what has characterized Eric Adams' mayoralty, is decisions at the behest of Donald Trump and his billionaire donors and at the expense of working class New Yorkers. And what we see in this moment is very much what we saw the day we started this campaign on October 23rd, a necessity to finally stand up to the days of big money and small ideas being what characterizes City Hall and instead delivering for the very working class New Yorkers that are being priced out of that same city.
Well, let's go to what Eric Adams had to say in a 9-minute video message announcing his decision to drop out. New York Mayor Eric Adams did not mention you, Zohran, or Andrew Cuomo by name, but he said this, which has been viewed as criticism of your campaign.
Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos. Instead, I urge New Yorkers to choose leaders not by what they promise, but by what they have delivered.
So, Zohran, your response?
Well, you know, I am not surprised to hear any of these critiques or points from Eric Adams, because it is Eric Adams' mayoralty that has delivered us with a city where 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. And in that same video, he diagnoses what the issues are that New Yorkers face. He speaks about the necessity of lowering costs, of improving quality of life, of keeping New Yorkers safe. And I don't contest the diagnosis. I contest his delivery, however. This is a mayor who raised the rent by 12% on more than 2 million New Yorkers, a mayor who priced New Yorkers further out of childcare, a mayor who has time and time again exacerbated a cost of living crisis, whether by raising the water bill or supporting Con Edison when they wanted to raise gas and electric. And so I wouldn't take advice on addressing that same crisis from the man who's been inflaming it time and time again.
Well, could you say, Zohran, what do you think the impact of his dropping out will have on your electoral prospects?
I think it's very much the same race. We have seen over the course of this race, especially in the final weeks and months of the primary, that Andrew Cuomo wanted nothing more than a one-on-one fight with me. And we gave him exactly that, and then we beat him by 13 points. And we continue to be just as confident. And yet what separates us from these other candidates is that we're not focused on them. We're focused on New Yorkers. New Yorkers deserve leadership that is thinking about how to benefit the people of the city. And too often politicians, be it Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams, the meetings that they have or the phone calls with someone like Donald Trump, they're only speaking about themselves. It's time to actually think about New Yorkers.
So in the New York City mayoral race, the Republican nominee who's still in the race, Curtis Sliwa, says at least 7 wealthy individuals have offered him money to end his campaign. He says he's going to stay in the race. If you can talk about that, who you think these 7 wealthy individuals are, and are they the same people who are funding ads to the tune of millions of dollars against you?
Well, I can tell you there's no shortage of Trump donors who are seeking to influence this election, who are looking to spend more money than I would even tax them to try and stop our campaign. And at the same time, of Eric Adams, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa is the one that I would trust the most. And I do think it is very real that there are many who are threatened by our campaign and our politics of putting working people at the heart of this city's focus, and are trying to do everything in their power. And we've seen that with Donald Trump being on the phone with Andrew Cuomo, trying to do everything in his power to ensure that they stop this movement. And the sad news for them is that they won't be able to.
Is this going to change your strategy in any way, where you now, it's gone from a 4-person race to a 3-person race? But of course, people are saying that with Eric Adams out of the race, it's much closer to a 2-person race, you and your leading opponent, Andrew Cuomo.
We will have the same focus as we've always had on working class New Yorkers, their struggle to afford this city. And also to be very clear with New Yorkers that the reason that Donald Trump is seeking to clear the lane for Andrew Cuomo is because he knows that Andrew Cuomo will clear their lane for Donald Trump's agenda. There is a reality to the fact that it takes 2 to tango, and these are the 2 people that are so often on New Yorkers' minds as an example of the politics we have to leave in the past.
Well, indeed, Zoran, your entire platform has focused principally on, as you said, helping the working class. But what appeared surprising to some in the Democratic primary is that Cuomo had a double-digit lead over you in low-income neighborhoods. So how do you explain that, and what are you doing to assuage whatever the concerns of this constituency are?
You know, when I started this race, and I was here on the first day of the campaign, I was also here on primary day, and I'm very happy to be back. I spoke about the fact that I was a state assembly member who at that time was polling, let's say 1%, and that's being charitable to me. That's rounding up. And I think for much of the campaign, it was introducing myself and our movement to New Yorkers. And we introduced ourselves to quite a few, which by the end of that primary meant that we won close to 600,000 votes. And yet that work still continues, because when I'm running against Andrew Cuomo, it's not just his name or his record that comes to mind for New Yorkers, it's also that of his father. And so for many New Yorkers, that was the association that they began the race with. And now we are building a coalition that shows our agenda is one that will deliver that affordability to each and every New Yorker.
So let's talk about affordability and talk about your planks. I mean, I think people are looking at this all over the country. And the question people have is, how can this be afforded? For example, when you have free childcare, when you have free buses, you put a rent freeze on rent stabilized apartments. So housing and city-owned grocery stores. Go through your planks. It's not that it's never been tried in the country, and in many cases, very successfully, but you're putting it all together.
And I think it requires an approach that addresses this crisis across the lives of New Yorkers. You know, New Yorkers are not just bus riders or parents. They are all of these things at once, while also many of them being tenants. And as you've said, there is a precedent for all of these commitments. When we talk about freezing the rent, that's something that doesn't come at a fiscal cost to the city of New York. It is through the power we have of the rent guideline of those more than 2 million New Yorkers that they cannot raise the rent for these 4 years, to provide relief to those tenants to the tune of close to $7 billion. And also to still work with those landlords to reduce the cost burdens they're facing from insurance, from the water bill, from Con Edison, because it's not a competition. It's a question of ensuring that this is affordable and workable for each and every New Yorker. And if we think about universal childcare, the cost of universal childcare is around $6 billion, significant amount of money. Has to be put in a context of a $116 billion municipal budget, more than $250 billion state budget, and also the context of the fact that it's costing us nearly 4 times as much to not have affordable childcare. And what I mean by that is a few years ago, there was a study of the economic costs of that lack of affordable childcare, and it found it close to $23 billion, because it is, after housing, the leading cost pushing New Yorkers out of the city, which makes sense given that it's $25,000 a year for a New Yorker to find childcare for their one kid. And so this is an agenda that delivers on that, and it's one that also understands when you are faced with these costs, you are faced with a political choice. And it's a choice I believe we have to make for working New Yorkers, and I think that there are 2 clear revenue streams to raise the money necessary to fund this.
And that is?
That is raising personal income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers, that's New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year, by 2%, and raising the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey. Together, those two initiatives would raise $9 billion. I think they're the most straightforward, productive means of doing so. But if people have other ideas to raise the same money, I encourage it.
Interestingly, on childcare, what can you learn from New Mexico, which became the first and only state in the country to offer free childcare to a majority of families 3 years ago? According to The Guardian, the program lifted 120,000 people above the poverty line.
I think it shows that this is possible. It shows that it's not only necessary, but it is a question of our own political will. And we don't have to look as far as New Mexico, frankly, because right here in New York City, the previous mayoral administration delivered universal pre-K. And that was something that showed us the possibility of city government meeting the needs of working New Yorkers. And if we do not meet these needs, we will continue to see parents and aspiring parents leave this city in order to find a place where they can afford that childcare. It's time for us to actually deliver on it so we can keep people here and actually have room for others to join us as well.
Well, Zoran, you mentioned earlier, of course, housing is one of the central, you've made it one of the central issues in your campaign, because it's true that New York City, one of the biggest issues is that people can no longer afford housing. You're focusing in particular on deed theft. If you could explain what it is and your plans to create an Office of Deed Theft Prevention.
Absolutely. You know, the affordability agenda we have is one that doesn't just speak to tenants, it also speaks to homeowners. And since 2015, we've seen more than 3,500 instances of deed theft take place across New York City. Deed theft, for those who don't know, is something that disproportionately targets older New Yorkers. They tend to be Black and brown New Yorkers, where an individual will knock on the door of one of those same New Yorkers and say, do you need assistance in resolving your inheritance or refinancing your home, preying upon their desire to actually pass that home on to their next generation or to ensure that they can stay in that home. And there are so many of those New Yorkers who have then lost the title to their own home through this kind of being preyed upon. And so our office would take advantage of the new state rules that have allowed the city greater enforcement authority on this issue. It would also fund for about $20 million lawyers and further legal assistance for New Yorkers who would then be proactively reached out to by the city of New York, and would look at the example of a Tangled Title Fund in Pennsylvania and bring the success of that here so that the city is assisting New Yorkers in ensuring that their next generation can inherit their home, as opposed to leaving them to the prey of someone who would look to actually engage in deed theft.
Well, let's talk, Zoran, about issues that, of course, are very relevant to people in New York, but the principal action is happening elsewhere, and what you've commented on many times, namely what's unfolding in Gaza. Right now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was just here in New York, scheduled to meet Trump on Monday. So if you could talk about what you've heard from New Yorkers on this issue.
You know, I can tell you I have heard from New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs a real sense of despair and horror at the genocide that we've seen in Gaza, and an understanding of complicity as Americans in the funding of this genocide. And New Yorkers are looking for someone to be their mayor who will focus on this city, who will deliver for the people of this city, and someone who also, amidst all of that, has the moral clarity to have a politics of consistency. And that's what has been at the heart of our campaign, a consistent belief in the universality of ideals like humanity, like justice, like safety, and the ways in which Benjamin Netanyahu's genocide of Palestinians is a violation not only of those ideals, but also of international law. And we've seen that in the issuing of a warrant for his arrest by the International Criminal Court.
I wanted to go to a journalist questioning Netanyahu at a White House dinner hosted by Donald Trump in July.
The vocal critic of Israel and of yourself, and has said he would arrest you if you came to New York City if he was mayor. Is that something you take seriously, or are you concerned about that? Do you have a response to that?
No, I'm not concerned about that. Oh, well, look, I'm going to come there with the President Trump, and we'll see how do you know who the mayor will be? I don't know that. Do we know that?
He's going to be very fine, and who knows? We don't know who the mayor's going to be yet. But this is a communist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist, and he said some really bad things about Jewish people, and he said some really bad things about a lot of people. And I think he's going through a little bit of a honeymoon right now, but he might make it. But, you know, it all comes through the White House. He needs the money through the White House. He needs a lot. He's going to behave. He'll behave. He better behave. He's going to have big problems.
So if you can respond to both President Trump and Netanyahu, Trump has been going after you since you announced. He talked about detaining you, checking whether he might be able to deport you, talking about you as a communist. You, in exchange, talk about Trump-proofing New York.
You know, I think it is a sad reality in this country where we have a president who ran an entire campaign premised on cheaper groceries and lowering the cost of living. And what he has instead delivered time and again is an exacerbating of that on the persecution of his supposed political enemies. And when we talk about Trump-proofing the city, it's not just the question of hiring the 200 additional lawyers at our law department to bring us back to the staffing levels prior to the pandemic. It's a question of actually standing up and fighting Donald Trump. And fighting Donald Trump because what his agenda is doing is endangering the welfare of New Yorkers. This bill that he recently ushered through Washington, D.C., it throws millions of New Yorkers off of their health care. It steals SNAP benefits from so many hungry New Yorkers. And it does all of this in the interests of the largest wealth transfer that we've seen in this country. And to do those things while speaking about a cost of living crisis, it is truly a betrayal of so much of what his campaign was premised on, and an illustration of why he is so fearful of our campaign. Because unlike him, we don't just diagnose this crisis, we will deliver on it. We will actually ensure that we have New Yorkers who can afford the city that they call home, that we freeze the rent for more than 2 million New Yorkers, we make buses fast and free, which are currently the slowest ones in the nation, and we deliver universal childcare. And that's what Donald Trump is afraid of, the stark contrast between our delivery of those things and what he has done as the president of this country.
So, Ron Mamdani, what does it mean to be a democratic socialist?
You know, I think of the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And New Yorkers understand that. We're in the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. When I walked into this interview, I walked past a New Yorker who was sleeping on the street. That's the level of poverty in this city, and yet it's happening amidst great wealth. And the vision for this city has to be one that understands the dignity of working people must return to the heart of our politics, and to focus on that is to fulfill the ideals that brought so many to politics in the first place, and the abandonment of it has been what's pushed so many away from it.
So, Zoran, let's talk about some of the support that you've received that was perhaps almost unprecedented, and in this case unprecedented. Over the weekend, you received an endorsement from Bend the Arc Jewish Action, the very first time the organization has endorsed anyone in a mayoral race. In their endorsement, they wrote, "We are really very excited about Zoran and his platform, not in spite of our commitment to Jewish values, but because of them." So if you could talk about this endorsement.
You know, I am honored to have the endorsement of Bend the Arc, and to be the first municipal candidate to receive it, it really is a privilege. And it showcases the fact that this coalition that we have, it is a coalition that not only continues to expand, but also looks to reflect the beauty and the breadth of this city. And one of the many things that makes this city so special are the close to 1 million Jewish residents of this city. And I take very seriously my responsibility and my opportunity to not only protect Jewish New Yorkers, but to celebrate so much of what they have brought the city and so much of what it means to be a city with such a thriving community. And I think of this period of the High Holy Days as one where our politics and our politicians would do well to learn from the lessons of these very holidays that seek to impart a reflection on what the prior year has been, an atonement, and a real level of humility as to what it means to lead. And that is the kind of lessons that I hope to learn in delivering leadership to this city.
I was getting messages from congregants at Rosh Hashanah when you went to a synagogue then, and also hearing about the reports of a woman handing you stickers she'd made with a picture of bagels and lox and a message urging Jewish voters to support Mr. Mamdani. And on the stickers it said, "Reject the smear campaign, join the schmear campaign."
Yes, this is very creative, and I think it's a reflection that for all of the fear-mongering that we've seen in this race, part of the reason that I sit before you as the Democratic nominee is because of the support of so many Jewish New Yorkers of all generations. And I'm so excited by that support and the prospect of building that support by reaching out to Jewish New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, including at their synagogues.
And finally, Zoran, we know you have to go, but you know, many people have talked about the fact that you mobilize so much of the youth vote. But you also mobilized a lot of the South Asian vote, many people voting for the first time in a mayoral election, and Muslim communities as well. You'll be, if you win, the first Muslim mayor of New York, the first South Asian mayor. So if you could say, how important was that support to you, and explain your decision, in fact, to emphasize the fact that you're both a Muslim, South Asian, and in fact also African.
These are parts of my identity. They're parts of what has formed me and my life over the
This
course
clown ain't no African.
Of both being a New Yorker and even before that. And I think it's a desire at the heart of our politics to ensure that these electoral outcomes, these contests that we have, that they actually reflect the
he's
city
a colonizer.
at large. Too often, New York
Like
City politics
Bird.
is focused on an ever-narrowing group of New Yorkers, the ones who vote every primary. And yet we know that there's so many New Yorkers who call the city home just in the manner of those voters, but are not spoken to with the same respect, are not given the same kind of time. And from the beginning of this race, we said we wanted this race to look like the entire city. And that means speaking to the very South Asian and Muslim New Yorkers that too often have been looked at as, at best, there to be for a photo op, as opposed to New Yorkers who are also suffering from this affordability crisis.
So, Ron Mamdani, we are broadcasting this on Monday. We spoke to you on Sunday, right after Adams said he's pulling out of the election campaign. We also spoke to you the day after he was indicted on corruption charges. Of course, Trump would dismiss those charges later. But I also wanted to ask you, on this day, Monday, that we broadcast this, apparently the Democratic leaders will be at the White House, Hakeem Jeffries, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, meeting with Trump over the whole issue of the budget and whether the country is going to be shut down. I want to know which is more contentious, that meeting, Trump.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, and keep in mind, yeah, and then to prove your point even further, where they were selling slaves over there on Wall Street in New York.
Exactly, Shabaka. Is he gonna do that? Hell no. He ain't said one damn thing he was gonna do for Black New Yorkers.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? And this dude is of Kamala Harris's class, as you told me, Brother Che.
Like I said last night, if he wins, Black New Yorkers are done.
Exactly. And he's with that Brahma class, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's the Brahma, the Eta, and I forgot the other two, but the only thing I know
he's either Eta or Brahmin.
Okay, got you. Okay, and then there's the untouchables, which would be us.
Yeah, he's not an untouchable one. He's not a Sudra. He's not a Sudra either. So he's an Idra. He's either an Idra or a Brahmin. He's got damn DEI hires. He'd be another damn DEI hire. Cash Patel, exactly. Brahmin, East Indian. Kamala Harris, Brahmin,
East Indian. That part. And then on top of that, I wonder what Dada would have to say about this fool. Nobody fooled Big Daddy.
Well, apparently his family was in Uganda when Idi Amin was alive.
Huh. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, you just brought back a memory, Brother Chase, because when Dada, came to power,
only 33, Shabaka, so let's see.
So he was born after Edie went.
Yeah, he was born right after, but his parents, I believe, they had moved from India to Uganda.
Okay, and then Dada, he took all the wealth from them and put it off in the hands of Ugandans, is because I do know that his son, Idi Amin has a son, who does YouTube videos, who was talking about that.
Here comes the part about him. They're going to ask him how he got his name.
Okay.
Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, or their meetings, Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, with you. I was just watching Senator Van Hollen, who is really castigating his fellow Democrats who had not yet supported you. Many have, from corporate Democrats, conservative Democrats, on to progressives. But talk about that. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer not having supported you yet, even though you are the Democratic primary candidate. And what is being said in these meetings? They keep saying they're talking to you.
Yes, we have had a number of meetings, and I've appreciated the meetings because the focus of the meetings has been on the fact that New Yorkers are facing twin crises: authoritarianism from Washington, D.C., and an affordability crisis from the inside. And we often tend to separate these out. We think about democracy as an ideal that must be protected, but not that democracy also has to be able to deliver on the material needs of working people. And it was Fiorello LaGuardia that said, you cannot preach liberty to a starving land. You have to be able to deliver on both fronts. And to me, in these meetings, the focus has been how to do so. And I would say that the meeting that they will have with Donald Trump is going to be far more contentious than the ones that we've had. Ours have been focused on New Yorkers. Donald Trump is focused on himself and his donors. And
so
it is
are
time
you, man,
to
Donnie?
showcase the cost of the legislation that he has ushered through, what it would mean for New Yorkers' lives. I mean, I was at a hospital in the Bronx just a few days ago, speaking to 1199 members who were telling me that these cuts, they could decimate their ability to take care of New Yorkers in their toughest moments and in their best moments. And yet that is the agenda that Donald Trump is pursuing. And I continue to be hopeful and to be focused on the necessity of turning back that legislation, ensuring those cuts do not come to pass in the manner that they have been written.
We're going to end where we intended to begin today before Eric Adams announced that he's dropping out, which became top news. And that is by you saying your name. Of course, your main opponent, Andrew Cuomo, continually mispronounces your name. I want you to respond to that. This is how he does it.
I'm running against a man named Zoran Mandami. He's a socialist.
If you can respond to that and tell us how you say it, your full name.
Zohran Kwame Mamdani. And I think what has been offensive to me is not whether a New Yorker can say my name on their first attempt or their second. Is deliberately mispronounce that name. And it is something whose meaning is not. It's not just about me. It's about how so many New Yorkers have to deal with this in their own workplace, in their own lives. I was at a mosque recently for Friday prayers, and I asked the uncles and the aunties there to raise their hands if they've ever had to deal with the basic indignity of having the name that they were given be butchered time and again with an intention of belittling them, and hand after hand after hand raised. And that shows me the ways in which so many have been overlooked at the very least. And our campaign, it's not a campaign to ensure that everyone can say my name. It's a campaign to ensure that each and every New Yorker is celebrated for the fullest version of themselves, who they actually are, and belonging to the fabric of this gorgeous mosaic, as David Dinkins once called it.
And your middle name, Kwame, where it comes from?
I was named by my father after Kwame Nkrumah, the first prime minister of Ghana. And it is a point of pride for me and a reflection of the fact that I would also be the first immigrant mayor of the city in generations. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. Moved here when I was 7. It's the city where I grew up, the city where I met my wife, the city where I got my citizenship, and hopefully the city I will be.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure.
Sounds like he's trying to fool Big Daddy.
I figured you get a kick out of that. Yeah, I figured you get a kick out of that, Shabaki.
Yeah, you know, my closing statements here for tonight, y'all. Okay, see.
Oh, damn. We still got topics, Shabaki. We still have topics.
Oh, okay. Okay. All righty. Okay. Putting them here in the logs. Okay, what's our next topic, Brother Che?
Punk ass Charlie Kirk resolution.
Oh, yeah, I stand corrected. That's right. Charlie Kirk. Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, oh boy. Man, you could hear in the background, I'm going through all these log sheets, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me check the other book. Okay, Charlie Kirk. Okay. Yeah, old Charlie. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get on there with old Charlie Kirk. Okay. And for you Kirksters out there, Scotty beamed him up. And for you Kirksters, please comment in the chat room of how you feel about white-on-white crime in which Charlie Kirk was a victim of white-on-white crime.
Right. While all he did was talk about black on black crime and denigrated the black community and mocked every victim of police brutality, of every black victim of police brutality. Going
and made derogatory.
Going all the way back to Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, my God. Yeah, and whatever happened to that fool Zimmerman?
He's still in Idaho High now, getting protection from the police and the white supremacists.
Oh yeah, old Mark Furman's new hometown, Idaho. Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there with Mark Furman.
Yeah.
And those ones that are talking about, I'm a Christian, I'm not racist, I don't see color.
Yeah. He don't see color, and then for Negroes who don't see color, you could best believe color sees our black asses, and that's for real.
Right. Every time we look in the mirror, we see goddamn color. I don't see color. We're all the same. No, the fuck we're not.
Exactly. And this isn't hatred. It just means is that we place an emphasis on our heritage, as you say, Brother Che, around this whole damn planet.
Yep. So your friends, the Democrats, I'm being facetious. They're not our goddamn friends. Neither the Democrats or the Republicans are our friends.
Two sides of the same coin.
But the so-called Friends of Black America, the Democrats, voted in favor of Charlie Kirk Resolution. Legislation and resolution.
Oh my God.
Honoring he's not even a suspected white supremacist no more. He is and was a racist white supremacist. He was the modern day David Duke.
Right.
And what was the other dude's name? It was Lee
David Duke, George Lincoln Rockwell.
No, it was I mean, we'd be here all night naming white supremacists, but it was one in particular. It was Lee Atwater. Yeah, Lee Atwater. He was the modern day David Duke and Lee Atwater.
Yeah. Oh, and you want to hear something funny? I was on social media talking with one of these idiots, right? And this idiot is going to tell me that George Washington invented electricity. Now, let me just show you.
I thought they tried to give that to Ben Franklin.
No, Benjamin Franklin did. See, there's a difference between an invention and a discovery. Because Ben Franklin, who was a drunk, he went out there, flew his kite in a thunderstorm and put a key on his hand on the kite string, right? Okay. So, and as you know, the word Zulu translated into English means lightning and thunder. Okay, a brother who was a Zulu told me this. Okay, so what had happened was when the heavens lit up Ben Franklin and he got a shock, right? So that's a discovery as opposed to an invention. Now, an invention is what so many of our...
They had electricity in ancient Kemet. These cockers they ain't invent or discover nothing.
So we discovered electricity. Yeah. Okay, I stand corrected. You know, I'm not the most brilliant motherfucker there is. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, them wasn't invent or discover a damn thing. The only thing they invented was the patent office.
Right, to steal people's intellectual property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And weapons of mass destruction.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? And then what did the Queen Mother say? Revolution is love. We must make weapons of mass love, not destruction.
Right. That's what we used to play on Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced on Blogtalk Radio.
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? And most definitely, Sister Assata, rest in power. So if your relatives are hearing us, y'all have our most deepest sympathies and concerns. But the Queen Mother's in a better place. You know, she did her job. They beat her. You see what I'm saying? And whatnot. I got saw photographs online of her with black eyes and stuff like that where they beat her.
They put their fingers in her bullet wounds. They tortured her.
God. Yeah. And then, of course, I hate to say, of course, how should I say, I'm quite sure that indecent liberties were taken with her, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
You know? So rest well, Assata. Rest well. And I salute you, sister, you know, for a job well done, considering the circumstances and the torment that you went through. So if any of her loved ones, family members,
for taking her in, shout out to the Black Liberation Army for breaking her out, and shout out to for taking her in.
And shout out to Raul, his brother, when Fidel transitioned, his brother Raul took power, and he had made it clear.
Shame on old Sambo.
Sambo, exactly. Yeah, and then old Sambo was going to go down there and try to open up relations with Cuba, and Raul told him, "No, man, Queen Mother, you know, she's got asylum here. We're not giving her up."
And he raised the bounty to $2 million on her head.
And that fat ass Doug Christie
of New Jersey and punk ass Trump said it was kill on sight.
Yeah. And then keep in mind, even if she would have set foot in Puerto Rico or the U.S. Virgin Islands, right, or any American territory and or state, she was to be shot and killed on sight.
And fuck you tellers that talk about, well, she was so much for Pan-Africanism and African liberation. Why did she go to Cuba? She went to Cuba because at that time they were taking in political prisoners.
Right. Exactly. You say,
so fuck you tellers. That's disrespecting our Queen Mother. But let's get back to this Charlie Kirk, racist white supremacist, and what the Republicans and the Democrats did last week, in regards to that bastard.
Okay, all right.
In an apparent targeted assassination at Utah Valley University last week, and he co-led this resolution here. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to join us once again.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thanks for having me on, and so sorry that we have to even engage in this way, but this tragic loss can lead great opportunities for us to reflect on how we approach civic engagement, and we should do it respectfully without violence.
And I did want to ask you here the purpose of the legislation itself.
This is literally coming from the most violent people in the history of the planet.
Mm-hmm. And Utah is a Second Amendment state. Mm-hmm.
And Utah is a Klan state, a Republican state, a white supremacist state.
Yeah.
Kind of going back a little bit before the House did vote on it today. What is the purpose of it? Is it simply symbolic, or is there more to it?
There's always more to words. The point behind that is
there's
words as ancient as time
have
set a standard for people, and that includes ancient writings like the Bible, as well as things like the Gettysburg Address.
Y'all twisted up and made to justify our enslavement. So fuck you and your Bible. How about that?
Okay. All right.
The Emancipation Proclamation is these things set a standard for us, and we should try to live up to those standards. We are the United States of America.
And Mormon country. Utah is Mormon country. That is the headquarters of the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Mm-hmm. And then how is this bastard
people
going to talk about
that
the
respect each other?
Emancipation
We don't all
Proclamation?
share the same views. We are not monolithic in our viewpoints. But as we engage with one another, we can do so in a respectful fashion. And this terrible incident, this terrible tragedy is a reflection that just like
look at all the foul shit they called me.
I always got to
Yeah, look at all the foul
just like
shit
the
they called
bastard that
you,
they
brother
are
Jay.
honoring. Yeah, but just like the bastard he's honoring, Shabaka, they always got to find a way to crowbar us into some shit. We didn't have nothing to do with that motherfucker getting killed. It was your own people that killed him.
Exactly. Just like when they had the
there
massive
are some people
shootout,
that
man,
believe
of white
civic
supremacy against
engagement
each
should
other on
not be the way
Interstate
to
15.
approach things, that violence is the way that we should approach it. And I and my people and the United States of America, the vast majority of our citizens, utterly
you said it right, my people. Yeah, your people is right.
Yeah, exactly.
The Briscoe, Mayo, Sun Dodging people.
Sun Dodgers, yeah. Yeah, I like that term, Sun Dodgers. Yeah, Sun Dodgers. Yeah.
reject that premise.
I wanted to ask you about the reaction here as 58 Democrats did vote against this legislation, this resolution. Your thoughts on that overall?
Well, it's disappointing. We've seen a number of people that celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, and
should have been more than that. All the motherfuckers should have voted no. If they really gave a damn about black people.
That part.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. But however, though, I will say one thing.
Once again,
I did like Robert Redford and Butch Cassidy
around
the
the fact that
Sundance Kid.
Charlie Kirk was an individual that debated vigorously, and he loved completely. Yeah. There was nobody that he intended to harm in his debates. He always wanted to just have that civic discourse. And the fact that some of my colleagues
lies on top of more lies. What was it? It was a Napoleon. I said you tell the lie long enough, they'll start believing it. Yeah. And you just keep the same lie over and over and over and over again.
Okay, and then when you lie, you got to remember your lie.
Straight, blatant white. He didn't harm nobody. He literally mocked the death of every black person that was killed at the hands of the race soldiers.
Exactly, and then he had the audacity to say,
all of them. He disrespected every last one of our civil rights leaders.
Yes, sir. And then had the damn audacity to say that we were better off during the Jim Crow era of 1940. And on that, Charlie Kirk, you may kiss my ass. And I want to make that perfectly clear, by the way.
Right.
I would count as associates, and I hope I can count them as friends as well, would vote against that. I think it's a reflection of their people and the fact that they don't approve of Charlie Kirk or his message. But
fuck no, he's basically a fucking modern day David Duke. Why the hell will anybody with any kind of sense support some shit like that unless they're a white supremacist like you?
Exactly. And then if I was to debate Charlie Kirk, I would have humiliated
the vast majority of people on the House.
Because the first thing I would have told Charlie Kirk.
That's why he only debated college students.
Yeah, because I would have told Kirk that I was grown when he was a twitch in his daddy's pants.
He would never debate somebody that actually knew what the hell they were talking about.
Well, that is a fact. Yeah.
Floor did vote in favor of this resolution. I'm proud of that fact that in the Senate and the House, we're able to pass a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk and mourn with his widow, Erica, and those two children who now have no father of it.
His life and legacy is denigrating black people. That's something to be honored.
Exactly. And then the cold part is that when he was talking about what was his last line, he was crumb bumming on black
President
people.
Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, they're going to be speaking at the service on
right before he was about to bring up gang violence. Right before he was about to bring up gang violence in Chicago, he got pew-pew.
He got dumped on. Okay.
Yep. He was asked about transgender shooters, and instead of answering the question, he was going to deflect to gang violence in Chicago.
Exactly. And then keep in mind is that talk about gang violence. Keep in mind, Chicago was the home of Al Capone for many, many years.
Yeah, many
Do we have to
Italian
mention the
mobs.
St. Valentine's Day massacre?
It might have to, Shabaka. All they do is everything they do is murder, death, and destruction. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And it's the same motherfucker talking about we need to not have violence. We need to not respond to violence. Everything that you responded in since you came out the caves has been violence.
Exactly. You see?
Sunday there at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. What does that say about Charlie Kirk's impact on politics overall?
At 31 years old, that man did more than most people can ever hope to do.
What the fuck did he do? He was a podcaster? What did he do? What did he do? They act like he was feeding the homeless. They act like he was feeding the poor or something. Like he was like a Mother Teresa or something.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What did he do? All he did was denigrate black people. That's all he did.
Exactly.
And justified every unarmed black citizen that was murdered by the police.
And then keep in mind, he didn't say nothing in favor of Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, may Fannie Lou Hamer rest in power.
He disrespected all of our civil rights leaders, Shabaka.
Yeah.
A lifetime, man. The fact that our president of the United States, as well as the vice president, have over the past 9 days since this terrible event has happened, that they've over and over again said how impactful Charlie Kirk was on them. And the other interesting thing is how impactful Charlie was on people who are not president of the United States and vice president, people who are average citizens who respect the fact that Charlie Kirk is the reason why.
Rank and file white supremacists, get it right. Get it
Facts.
right. And
Facts.
And tellers that want to get in line and get in bed with white supremacy. That's it.
Yeah.
They engaged in civil discourse and politics. And I applaud Charlie Kirk and the effort he made to bring young people into this really important arena where we can debate and discuss these ideas. So it is a great thing that President and Vice President are showing up to this.
What ideas? White supremacy? Well, what ideas? And when you ask your stupid ass supporters these questions, they have no answer. They're like, all you have is some clips that's been some video.
Yeah, trying to get their lies straight. That's what I call trying to get their lies straight, Brother Che.
Yeah. I'm like, how? Well, he was a Christian. So was the Ku Klux Klan.
Exactly.
The fuck are you talking about?
But I'll be there as well. I'm not as notable as those two, but I'm grateful with my parts of my family to be there to honor the life and legacy of this outstanding young person, Charlie Kirk.
I'd say you're pretty notable. You've joined us, quite a few times. Good news that you will be there. You're not speaking, correct? You said?
No. I'm not notable like that.
And I did want to ask you as well about how exactly you plan to carry on that legacy, how you want to make sure that Charlie Kirk is remembered.
We should live boldly, we should debate vigorously, and we should love completely. And I intend in my heart and mind to carry that forward. I have always been the sort of person from my early training in the scout program that I was in and through my religious upbringing, I've always felt like we should love our enemies and bless them that curse us, and that even when people are utterly disrespectful, that we should still try to extend.
Your boy was utterly disrespectful.
Yeah.
Your boy was utterly disrespectful. The fuck is you talking about?
And
he went out
Charlie
his way
Kirk,
to be disrespectful.
Yeah, and then had the damn audacity to say that we should go back to the lifestyles of the 1940s, saying that black people were better under segregation and Jim Crowism.
I guess that's when America was great, Shabaka.
Yeah, so I'm quite sure that Dr. King is whooping his ass.
That humanity is.
And I'm praying to God that the greatest heavyweight champion of all time is using him for a sparring partner.
Shabaka, he's not where they're at.
Well,
he's where his father is at.
Oh, Satan. Downstairs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Downstairs. Yeah.
It's just like his father. All he did was speak nothing but lies. There's no truth in him. Lies. That's all he speaks.
Associated with just civic discourse, let alone outright Christian principles. And so I embrace those sort of things, and will continue to things in my heart. And through that, I intend to set an example. I'm not trying to tell anybody how they should live their life, but
y'all
I
always trying to tell us how we should live our lives, who we should honor, who we shouldn't honor, and all that shit. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
By example,
You know,
for my family as well as my
we approve
constituents,
of the
that we should
messages
work
that
together
we're
on these
putting
things.
out
And working
there.
together, we can accomplish anything.
On that same note here, before I let you go, any message that you do want to get across to the American people who are watching, whether they are Republican, Democrat, somewhere in between?
Other white supremacists.
Charlie Kirk is now transcending a remarkable 31-year life. He leaves behind
remarkable 31-year life of denigrating black people and upholding racism and white supremacy. That's
exactly.
That's all. Yeah. Under the guise of Christianity.
Right on Mac 285. Yeah.
Millions of people that not only followed him before, but many new ones that are following him now. And he, to me, leaves a legacy of the fight for freedom of speech, a constitutional privilege that is
freedom of
embraced by the United States
they
American
didn't
people.
get to the Queen Mother.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of
and then when the Queen Mother was doing it, y'all called her a terrorist.
If they choose to vote against this,
they got it twisted, Shabaka. They think freedom of speech means they can just say whatever racist, vile shit, and they ain't gonna have no consequences or repercussions for saying it.
Right. And then as soon as we go up there and say something in retaliation of that, oh, you guys are black terrorists and all this old shit, you know? And the only thing we was trying to do is build up our community.
No, Jimbo Clyburn. I 9 times out of 10, I say 99.9% of the time I disagree with Clyburn. But this 0.1% of the time, I agree with him. He said,
what did Clyburn say?
I will never vote to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy.
Well, that's resurrection of the mental dead right there.
I'll tell you one thing we do know, though, is that when Melissa Hortman, the Speaker of the Minnesota Legislature, was shot, there was a commemorative resolution in the Congress, and every Republican voted for it.
Right.
When Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, there were 58 Democrats.
That's not why he was assassinated. He was assassinated because he was speaking against a certain segment of the Mayo population. That's why he was assassinated. The dude that shot him even said it. He said, it's my opportunity to take him out, and I'm going to do it. Because he's speaking against my lover, my roommate, who's a transgender.
Who would not vote for a resolution to honor him. So
and I was one of them.
Why do you think it was?
I don't mind honoring anybody's life. I've got a problem with their legacy. And I know what the legacy of Kirk was. When I turn on my TV and I see someone telling me what an awful person Martin Luther King Jr. was. When I see somebody telling me, if I get on an airplane and there's a black pilot, I begin to wonder, is he qualified? What does that mean? Those
that
words
part
out of his mouth.
That's not
yes, he did. That is what he said. That's exactly what he said.
Yep, just like that goddamn Ann Coulter.
This has been well litigated and well developed.
He was about affirmative action.
Yep.
And so what's wrong with affirmative action?
No.
Look, you're telling me that when I came out of college and couldn't get a job, that was because I was not qualified?
That's not what I'm saying.
But what are you saying?
What I'm saying is Charlie Kirk is very clear. If these companies openly say that they have to somehow fill a quota of people, whether it be a race or gender, not based on merit, but based on their race or gender, the obvious should be clear to everyone, which is
If anything was based off of merit, black people would be at the top of the food chain in America and worldwide. The fuck are
That
y'all
part.
talking about? They kill me with that shit.
Yeah, and then on top of it too, this is why the dump is stating how he honestly feels about getting rid of DEI. You get rid of DEI, black companies do not have to hire these mayonnaise people.
because of the bar that the this type of DEI hiring, then you have to wonder, is it because of their race or their gender?
Can I just... That's not what it is. That's not what it is.
Hogan, why would you?
Oh, Abby Filler.
I mean, why would you have to wonder that? The only reason you would wonder that is if you're inclined to believe that nobody can be qualified if they are black and brown going into those roles. And also, but here's one other thing that I think is just a factual dispute with what you're describing. You're suggesting that the standards are lower for people of color filling these roles when there is absolutely
the exact opposite.
No evidence.
The exact opposite.
No, but that's what you said.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, Hogan. You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender,
That's not what I
and
said.
not because they are
Yes, you did.
So are they qualified?
Yes, you did. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth, trick.
Is a pilot sitting in a hold on, Hogan. Is a pilot sitting on an airplane?
Get his ass, Abby.
Whether he's black or white or a woman or gay or lesbian, if they are sitting in that seat and they meet the FAA requirements for being in that seat, are they qualified?
If they are qualified, I sure hope so.
Are they? But you don't believe that they're qualified.
That's not what I
because
said. What I said was, if the criteria was their race or gender, then how am I to know
that's
if the
why I'm telling you,
qualification is
Hogan.
That's
there?
not the
That is
qualifications,
the
stupid
factual
motherfucker.
that
We
you
had
are
a
making.
president of the United States,
Hogan, I
Joe
don't want
Biden,
you to
came out and said
This is exactly how Charlie Kirk supporters are. Just like this.
president. So when I noticed that that's what he said, that's not my fault. Joe Biden said it.
You were in the White House when Donald Trump said he was going to put a woman on the Supreme Court, and then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so why is she qualified?
Because she's white.
But Ketanji Brown Jackson is not.
He talked
Because
about
she's
the
white.
qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that clear directive from Joe Biden, in the clear directive from those companies, they are saying we are filling
Let me ask.
They're not even saying filling
I'm
the
going to
quota
ask you
with the most
again because I think you have
qualified.
another opportunity to really think this through.
I've thought it through.
Donald Trump said, I am going to pick a woman to go on the Supreme Court. Oh, you know what? Let me give you another one.
So should he not have
George H.W. Bush said, I am going to pick the Supreme Court. Are those people unqualified?
I want always the most qualified people to
Are
hold
they
those
qualified
jobs.
or not?
It depends on
It
their
wasn't a quota.
qualifications.
Answer the goddamn question, cracker.
Quota when you base it on race or
Ketanji
gender.
Brown
If you
Jackson-
base it on qualification, if the person is hired as black or a woman or whatever, it doesn't matter. That's
Let
the
me just
point.
ask you a direct question.
It's the ultimate
Is it okay for
meritocracy.
Donald Trump to have DEI quotas or not?
It's not okay for anyone to have DEI
So then
quotas.
why did he have a DEI quota, by your definition, for Amy Coney Barrett?
He didn't. He said that was one of the selections. People said he should fill it with a woman.
Okay. He said he was going to fill it with a woman, and he did.
He did not only interview women for the job.
Correct.
Okay.
So
I'm sure Joe Biden didn't only interview men for black women for the job.
Joe Biden had said as he went in his search process, his short list would be all women of color,
and they were.
Listen,
And they were
No,
qualified.
that's not true.
They were qualified.
We're taking issue with the criteria.
I just think it's you guys are misleading. I'm not gonna say you're lying. I'm just gonna say you're misleading about what Donald Trump said. The day after, Justice Ginsburg died, he said he was going to pick a woman to replace her. He said that. Okay, I'm not paraphrasing. That is what he said.
By that standard, he should not have issued that as a criteria.
All right. One more thing. Justice Thomas, who I'm sure you love. You love him, right?
Sure.
He was chosen to replace a black Supreme Court justice, in part because he was a black man. Who is more qualified?
I don't know if any of them.
Okay. Well, I've checked. She served as a federal judge for way longer. He actually didn't before she was put on the Supreme Court.
No, false. He was on the D.C. Court of Appeals,
Okay.
the second highest
Well,
court in
she
the
served.
land.
She
It was
served. Yes.
recommended by the Bar Association. You
Yes.
cannot besmirch clerical
He was on there
competence
for.
as
He was on there for a very brief period of
the
time.
second
She
highest
was
court
served
in the
as a
land.
judge.
We
for,
have never considered any nominee
Hold
for
on.
Supreme Court who is on the D.C. Court of
I am
Appeals
not-
to be
hold on.
unqualified for the Supreme Court.
I am not
never.
suggesting.
Never, ever has that been
I am
said.
not suggesting.
You're saying Clarence Thomas was not qualified?
I'm not. Actually, no, not. I am not.
You just
I am
said
not
he was
suggesting
not
that
qualified.
he's unqualified at all.
You did.
I am saying that he is qualified. Just the way that Ketanji Brown Jackson is qualified, just the way that Amy Coney Barrett
No, you
is
said
qualified.
he was less qualified
No.
than Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm asking
No,
you.
that's what you
I'm
said.
saying about comparing their resumes. If you want to compare
You
their
said he
resumes,
was less
one of the
qualified
things
than
that
her.
Charlie Kirk said was that was that Ketanji Brown Jackson, you know, if she says that she was affirmative action pick, then what she is saying is that she didn't have the brain processing power to get that job without replacing a white man.
Look,
But I'm asking you, if you objectively look at her resume, is that
Smash on him, Abby.
statement?
Oh, she's qualified for the Supreme
Okay,
Court.
so then let's
Work with him.
because I
Work
feel
with him,
that-
man. Work with him.
let's leave
What's
it
the
at that,
sister's
because-
name, man?
Say that again.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
That she, Ketanji, was it?
Abby Phillip.
Yeah.
First of the
I want to go back. This all started
I got-
when we were talking
I got
about
12
whether
of
or
his
not
quotes right here.
Charlie Kirk's life. And Congressman, I respect you. You are a living legend. I deeply respect your motives. However, I think that
Let
this
the
is a question of
congressman
whether we
finish, man. You
honor
double
people
speaking out of
who
them,
give
your
their
mouth
life to
and the
public
crack of
service.
your
I didn't
funky
vote for Charlie Kirk
ass.
on everything, but he gave his life to public service.
I'll let you have the
Literally.
last word on this. Go ahead.
But let me just say this. His life is one thing, his legacy is another. Now, I honor everybody's life. But when you tell me that was the versatile hire, when you tell me you're going to give thought to whether or not a black pilot is qualified, something else is going on in your head, and that's a legacy that I will never vote to honor. So if they're taking legacy off and just honor his life, you have legacy.
And you remember what that stinking ass broad Ann Coulter did, right, Brother Che?
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole cockpit crew was black, the pilot, the co-pilot, and the navigator. And she says they wasn't qualified, and all those women were highly decorated combat veterans.
Yeah. Yep.
Shit, hell, they'll be the main ones I want to fly the goddamn plane if I'm gonna get on the motherfucker, you know what I'm saying?
And it's wrong to do that. And so if they choose to vote against this, to shut the government, everybody in America can see what happens with it. The second vote we took here was also the right thing to do. We passed a resolution to honor the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk, my late friend, the friend of so many in this chamber. And we called out political violence in America. In fact, I want to read with you the final line of this resolution because I think it's something that the American people are eager to hear. It says this quote, "The House of Representatives calls upon all Americans to debate, uphold American values, and respect one another as fellow Americans." Sadly, a number of Democrats could not bring themselves to vote for that. You know, we have to let everybody make their own judgments about that. I just think that the resolution and the clean short-term CR were the right things to do today. I think it does right by the American people, right by our system. And
white supremacy. It does right. It does right by white supremacy, Mike Johnson. Yeah.
And I think everybody will recognize that. I'll just say this. The ball is in Chuck Schumer's court. I hope he does the right thing. I hope he does not choose to shut the government down and inflict pain unnecessarily on the American people. I hope that they will vote on this clean short-term CR so that we can continue the work to get our appropriations done. I'll take a couple questions. Yes, sir.
Will you consider meeting with Schumer and Jeffries before October 1st? Shut down? Date? And why haven't you done so?
I'm always open to meeting with anybody to get our work. He's never had a problem with it ever before, but now suddenly he does, and there's no rational reason for him to do so. So wasn't much for us to discuss. Now I do talk with Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader here, routinely, regularly, folks that they should do the right thing so that we can continue in a bipartisan fashion to get the government funded. And they've chosen a different route, and I hope in the Senate they make a better decision. Yes.
In the event of a shutdown, are you open to negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries, or are you just going to wait out to see if they pass?
I mean, if Chuck Schumer's negotiation is that he wants to add $1.4 trillion in new spending, the answer is heck no, we're not doing that. And we're not going to pay for health care for illegal aliens. That's against the law. We're not doing that. They're not being reasonable at all. A short-term CR is not a partisan exercise. We could have loaded this up with partisan provisions, but we're not doing that because we're governing in a responsible manner. I hope Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate will do the same. So we'll see.
There was some talk about maybe the House leaving after today until after October 1st, the deadline. Do you plan to bring the House back next week, later, if the Senate doesn't pass this?
We haven't made final decisions on that. There's a lot of discussion about it. The members have a lot of work to do in their districts, so we're always trying to balance those interests, work here and work in the district. We'll figure that out. But I'll just tell you, if Chuck Schumer intends to shut the government down, I don't see an easy route out of that. And there's going to be a lot of pain, and a lot of people will suffer from that unnecessarily. Think of it. We would not be paying our troops at a time of very serious conflict around the globe. And we could go down the laundry list of things that would happen, and I hope they don't do that to the American people. Thank y'all so much.
Well, it already happened. Mike Johnson.
I like how you just plays the blame game. Like,
that's what they all do.
I mean, but in hindsight, I don't agree with them paying for illegals either.
I don't either.
The main illegal alien in America is the European.
Well, they're the original illegal alien, Shabaka.
That's even better. I should have said the original main illegal alien. Or I should have said the original illegal alien in America is the European.
Right.
Yep.
That is correct.
That's correct. What's the latest? Is there any latest news?
The government shut down.
Are we still talking about it?
No, they
government shut down.
Today was the
government
deadline.
Shut down. They shut down the government. And all you dumpsters out there who voted for that idiot, I hope you're happy now.
Yeah. All right, so getting back to this white on white crime, I guess I'll play Professor Black Truth again. Professor Black Truth did an awesome.
Do you think there's going to be more white on white crime since the government shut down?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think too. That's what I think too. Because they weren't happy already.
Mm-mm.
And then the poor whites are going to feel it.
Mm-hmm. And again, they only have themselves to
family and fellow soldiers. I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
They all got before this.
Yes, it has happened again and again. That's 2 mass murders in less than 24 hours, one in North Carolina, the other one in Michigan. Now, since as we know in the black media, these kind of incidents don't get anywhere near the kind of white media attention that they deserve, so here's the recap on it.
We are following breaking news overnight. At least 3 people are killed, 8 others injured after a gunman opened fire on a crowd in Southport, North Carolina. Police say the suspect pulled up to the waterside bar on a boat. People in the area were asked to stay inside their homes while police investigated, and authorities there say they do have a suspect in custody at this time.
Michael, we are here in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. That is about an hour northwest of Detroit. We are here because around 10:25 this morning, officers got a call that a man, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford of Burton, which is just the town over, ran his truck into the front of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. After he rammed his truck into the front of the church, he opened fire at the hundreds of people who were there for service. Police did confirm that 10 people were shot, 2 people have died, 7 people are in stable condition, 1 is in critical at the moment.
The mass murderer in North Carolina was arrested alive, no surprise, and no word on whether the cops chose to take him to Burger King first. As for the mass murderer in Michigan, that one, amazingly, was killed. Now, it seems to me like it was just the other month that there was a church attack in Michigan. Wait, that's because it was just the other month that there was a church attack in Michigan, and that one didn't take place in Detroit either, or Flint. It took place out there in the suburbs, on the outskirts, you know, where this kind of thing never happens, except that it keeps happening in those places. With 2 mass murders in less than 24 hours and the suspects being non-Black, you can already guess what the white media, hell, with the dominant society's analysis of this has been. It's all a mental health concern. That's what they're all saying. Mental health. Oh, state mental health funding got cut. It's mental health. I tell you, it's so stressful out there. When the shooter's Black, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how poor he is, how much stress he's under. He's just a violent Negro. You know how those people are. But on the other hand, when the suspect is not Black, it's always mental illness. Surely there must be something wrong with him. A sentiment that we never hear at any other time. And what's the death in Carolina on Saturday night was 3 dead, 5 injured. And the one in Michigan yesterday, 4 dead, 8 injured. And body counts matter because when a gangbanger in Chicago shoots someone, it's Black people out of control. On the other hand, when it's someone from the dominant society who kills 3 people and injures 8, suddenly it's unfathomable why they just can't reckon it. The world is simply going crazy. This stuff happens twice in less than 24 hours. That's not crazy. That's just a normal day. And yet it's treated as crazy and insane because that's how racial narratives work. It's never based on the crime. It's always based on the color of the perpetrator. Times like this, one has to wonder, where is the wit and wisdom of Charlie Kirk at? He and his followers to go ahead and comfort us all with the knowledge that Black on Black crime, etc., or white people are being hunted down by Black people nationwide, except Charlie Kirk was also killed by a white man, and his followers and online fans are angry at Black people because of that. Why? Because they saw him as the champion of a racialist myth that they just loved. It tickled them no end, and his death served as an inconvenient reminder that all of those anti-Black narratives and talking points and tropes that he pushed and made a lot of money pushing were false from the very beginning. They never existed. This society gives itself permission to sweep these daily massacres, the real ones, under the rug. It only pulls out its phony, insincere concern if there's some Black person to go after. Then they can treat the matter as a criminal justice issue. And what they've done is, to in effect, give these mass murderers a license to kill. These psychos understand full well exactly how the white media's racialist narratives work. They know that no matter how many school children that they slaughter in elementary school, no matter how many innocent people they kill in a movie theater, no matter how many innocent churchgoers that month. Now, in these 2 cases from the last couple of days, both of these killers are apparently military veterans. That's one you can expect. You don't know, was this their time in the service? Was it just because of what they had seen if they had been under fire? Or why is it there more money and time and resources being devoted to veteran services? Well, for the folks in the white media who might want to pull out that talking point, don't expect to get much support from the orange man. Trump's already been on the internet saying that this was an attack on Christians, even though the individuals who did it were Christians themselves, or at the very least, they definitely weren't Muslims. The mass murderer in North Carolina reportedly filed numerous lawsuits against the city. Now, the white media like to report on that, and it's all part of their humanizing these animals that they like to do. It's a matter of make these killers out to be human beings. Don't forget they're human beings, and the guy was in the military, and no doubt His neighbors and co-workers thought the world of him. That's what they're doing here. He filed numerous lawsuits with the city. Oh, if only somebody had paid attention to him. Spin that they want to put on it. And as for the other mass murderer in Michigan, he's dead now, so I guess it doesn't matter if he had any lawsuits pending or not. But the truth of the matter happens to be, if this guy did, what the hell's that got to do with anything? He should be told, well, whatever the issue is, you need to cope with it. It's a hard life, etc., etc. But just like everyone else in the dominant society, this Michigan killer had been socialized that when he has a grievance, real or imaginary, the world is supposed to move for him. Something's supposed to happen. And the same thing with that mass murderer in North Carolina. He filed his numerous lawsuits. As far as he was concerned, if he couldn't get justice in the courts, justice being if he didn't get the outcome he wanted, well, then he was going to take out his anger on the entire town. They would be made to pay one way or the other. For the last couple of weeks, this country's been getting some undeniable examples of why it's so dangerous and deadly to buy into the anti-Black narratives peddled by people like Charlie Kirk. He was the one running around saying that Black people were hunting down and killing white people for sport. Meanwhile, and the other two mass murders that followed were not carried out by Black people at all. These two gerbils that have been in the news, they wounded and killed more people in 24 hours than were killed and wounded during the entire 3-day weekend in Chicago. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. That's a cold, hard fact. Of course, the per capita incompetence will have trouble with that because it's actual math. There's no real point in waiting for information about either of these creeps' criminal past to be brought to light. Besides, things being what they are, it won't be long at all until there's some other mass murderer from the same background who does the same thing. And by the way, you notice that I haven't even bothered to speculate on whether or not either of these two mass murderers has the usual anti-Black rantings and ravings, whether or not one of these guys or both of them happen to be the usual anti-Black racist who, because they couldn't get their hands on some Black people to kill, they just decided that anyone would do. We've certainly seen that one enough times, haven't we? So if it turns out that these guys had some sort of manifesto, as the white media will call it, to try to make them sound like they're learned and educated, when it's just a bunch of rantings and ravings, is anyone going to be surprised at all if something like that gets unearthed? Of course not. These crimes are allowed to happen. One thing's for sure, these mass murderers certainly couldn't be carried out like this if the dominant society decided they didn't want them to be. That's the reason why the Orange Man is sweeping this under the rug and saying, oh, this is just an attack on Christians. He simply doesn't want to be bothered, and he's not alone in that regard. And I'm sure that we'll have the usual bottom feeders who infest my comment section who will be whining and complaining, come on, dude, why is it that you're reporting on like this? Why do you have to talk about it that way? You're politicizing a mass murder. You can't do that. That's so wrong. That's so immoral. Really? Charlie Kirk himself said it was absolutely necessary to politicize the murder of that Ukrainian woman. He didn't care about all of the thousands of Ukrainian women who have been killed in Russia, not by a Black man on a metro train, but by a white man in Moscow. Charlie Kirk predictably didn't care about the thousands of dead Ukrainian women killed by Vladimir Putin. And the reason why is their deaths were meaningless to him. They couldn't be used to serve his political ends. So the thousands of Ukrainian women who lie dead today, they're just collateral damage. They're simply a statistic. They don't matter. What matters is whether or not there's a way that you can use it as a means to attack the Black community, can use it as a springboard for yet another anti-Black policy. Because that's what they were teeing up before Charlie Kirk got murked. And Charlie Kirk himself couldn't wait to spread the lie that Black people were hunting white people and Black people were killing every white person in America. There's a ton of people in this world and in America in specific who have been socialized to believe that when they tell lies, especially lies about Black people, these are just victimless crimes. But the reality is this crime. And if you make the mistake of actually believing them, then you might inadvertently wind up the victim of a crime, one that might not have seemed all that obvious to you, but which everybody else could clearly see coming. So, as unfortunate as these incidents have been, they're not surprising at all. This has become the American way. But then again, it always has been. And that being the case, tragically, it won't be long at all before we have yet another headline just like this one, because you had yet another privileged psycho who this society decided to give easy access to firearms, but absolutely no access to accountability. And when you have a social climate like that, where there's already phalanx of individuals who are prepared to line up and give all kinds of excuses and obfuscations for this kind of thing, well, that makes it where everyone becomes nothing more than a target in a shooting gallery. But the people who make these excuses, they better be careful, because they have no idea which one of these lunatics they're giving the green light to go on a massacre. While it's true that these mass murderers may have a rich fantasy life, and in their own sick minds, they see their victims as being nothing more than object lessons, just targets for them to gun down to prove the greatness of their wrath or their petulance or whatever. The truth is that these politicians and these pundits who make excuses for them, they also live in their own realm of make-believe. And in their minds, well, the bodies that hit the floor will never be their own. At least that's what they tell themselves. But that's one hell of a gamble that they're taking. If they decide that they're going to roll the dice like this every single day, they can do that. But it only has to come up snake eyes once. Good day and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Stephen 12, Michael McMillan, Mary.
Shabaka, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Shabaka.
Yes, the ones. Yeah, I'm still here.
What are your thoughts on the male crime that is happening all over the country? Charlie Kirk's unaliving.
Yeah, okay. Well, hate to say this,
where's
but
the outrage? Where's the outrage from the white community on this?
yeah, that's a damn good question. You know what I'm saying? And not on top of that, where is the rage? But Brother Che, but not only where is the rage, okay, but how come, they're not talking about the white on white crime. You see what I mean? They always want to mention black on black crime, but they don't want to mention nothing about the white on white crime or the white on black crime.
Yeah.
See, you see what I mean? In my opinion. They said, what about the white on black crime through the race soldiers, the slave patrollers? Right. And as we know, is that the police are policy enforcers.
Policy of racism and white supremacy.
Exactly. And as we stated before, is that they evolved from slave catchers.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So where's the outrage from the Charlie Kirk supporters?
Yeah. They sitting up there with egg on their face. That's why. They sitting up there looking stupid. This is why they don't dare come see us, because they know that we will have them.
Like you brought up earlier, Kazo. Exactly. The hypocrisy is so real with these people. They hate to have the mirror and put in front of their face.
Yeah, exactly, Jay Militant. You know what I'm saying? And Jay Militant, you finally came on, man. Yeah, okay, they're playing the Super Bowl, man, down there at Levi Stadium again, man, for next year.
Yeah, and Bad Bunny's going to perform.
Bad Bunny, oh, man. Might as well go get the Easter Bunny.
Hopefully he don't wear a dress.
Yeah, might as well go get the Easter Bunny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but where's the outrage from the Charlie Kirk supporters?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't hear them. They so silent. You know what I'm saying? The reason why the Charlie Kirk supporters are not saying nothing, particularly here on Black media, because they know you would have them for lunch. Mm-hmm. I would have them for lunch. Jay Militant will have them for lunch. Yep. You see what I'm saying? Cool Keezy will have them for lunch.
Lady Che will have them for lunch.
All day.
Oh, yeah. See, they don't want to service that dish. No.
Definitely.
But the simple fact is that it was just been proving our points.
So do better, white people. Do better, white people. community. Shame on you, white community. What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with you?
And Jay Militant says we've been missing his lives, man. He's been tearing their ass up. Right on, Jay Militant.
I haven't been missing them. I've been watching them.
I listen to the back.
Well, man, my service has been down, Jay. You know what I mean? Because I'm having some problems, man, you know, keeping this platform up, you know. So I'm doing the best I can. Hopefully things will turn around for me in the next couple of weeks.
He said you and Mac and Twin have been missing this lives.
I heard this shit. I listened to
Not
the back.
you, Shabaka.
Oh,
He said Shabaka, Mac, and Twin have been missing his lives.
Okay, so Jay Militant says he still got him up. Okay, Jay, I'm gonna go by and check him out, man.
Yeah, he been going in.
He been going in all
Yeah.
over.
Okay, Jay says he still got him up. And that's on YouTube, right, Jay?
Yep. Just go to What's Cracking TV with Jay Militant. The link is in the description.
Okay. All right.
Documentary.
Yeah, we started on that racist white supremacy documentary you shared with me.
Yeah. Okay. And then also too, I got to get with V40 on Twitter as well too, because V40 has been up there on Twitter.
Yeah, so we're gonna head to your neck of the woods next, Shabaka.
The Shy.
No, your current neck of the woods, Sin City.
Oh, Sin City. Okay. What's up in this sinful place, man? What did I miss?
Well, the tourism is down.
Oh, yes, sir. The tourism. The tourism is down. The prices out here, you know, to stay in these places, you know, is going up and up and up. You see what I'm saying? So which means
I'm gonna send you the documentary, Shabaka. It's about the white supremacists, the neo-Nazis.
Oh Lord, yeah, them clowns, yeah. And old Musk, he goes out there and gives the old Nazi salute, you know.
And they're gonna lie and say he didn't do that, or that's not what that was.
Yeah, that is like somebody pissing on your head telling you it's rain.
Right.
That's ridiculous, you know. Gonna piss on somebody's head and tell them it's rain. My.
And shit on them and tell them it's snow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we can't make this up, Black family. We just can't make it up. All right, so Uncle Phil, I believe, is going to give us an update on what's happening in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. And then I'm going to call it a night after Uncle Phil.
Las Vegas has a big problem. Tourism to Las Vegas have plummeted to record lows. Why has it plummeted to record lows? Is because the Trump administration has been not only, you know, none of us support illegal immigration, but he has been on this anti-foreigner kick. We talk about even people coming over here illegally, right? Tourism is a big part of income to any country, including the United States. And when you having stories of people getting in trouble with customs, even though they got a visa, treating them any kind of way, word gets around. And when word gets around, say, yeah, I'm cool on the United States, I'll go somewhere else. And that's what people have been doing. Places like Las Vegas will get a lot of tourists. But even Americans are complaining about Las Vegas, and I'll get to that. But I want you to hear what the mayor has to say about their tourism to Vegas.
International travel is way down. People are not coming to the United States. We have a rather large market with the Canadians. It's gone from, a faucet to a drip. Same thing in Mexico. We have a number of very high rollers that come in from Mexico that aren't so keen on coming in right now. And that seems to be the prevailing attitude internationally. Also, the economy is constricting and people are a little more wary of spending their disposable dollars when there's tremendous uncertainty in the economy. So I think that's hurting us as well. And the third thing, and we hear this a lot, where when I was growing up, Las Vegas was a great value. I mean, you could have a 49-cent breakfast at any of the hotels and 99-cent shrimp cocktail. Rooms were cheap,
Yep.
food was cheap. Just come, have a good time, gamble. And that's how we, that's how we started
Maybe in the
our
late
success.
2000s.
To the top.
The last time I was there
a
was
lot
that
of the
cheap.
resorts. And I understand
Oh.
these are business decisions that the mayor, can't second guess. But I think they're, it's becoming less affordable to come to Las Vegas and have a good time, where every night that you were here on a long weekend, you saw a different show. Now they're seeing one show because they're so expensive. The buffets that, the 99-cent buffet. When I was in college, I worked at the Sands as a sun brunch. I think it was $2.99 for all you could eat at the Sands sun brunch.
Yeah, I remember
that doesn't
those.
exist anymore. But people are
No,
feeling that
they
they're getting
bounced the
nickels
wrecking
and
ball
dimes
off the
and they're not
sands.
getting value for their dollar. I hope that those in
Yep,
charge
they sure
of
did.
tourism in our community, throughout the community, are going to re-examine some of these business decisions and see if we can't make it more affordable for people to come in and have a good time. And that's all we want.
That's your
Come in,
mayor, right?
have a good time, spend their
Yeah.
money, go home. Come back in 6 months.
One of the
Yeah.
biggest problems about tourism to Vegas now is that it's too expensive. It is literally priced out.
Very.
The regular man and the regular woman, paying for parking,
Yes,
ridiculous
it
price
is.
food.
Yep.
I
Now
mean,
that's
bottled
where they're
waters
getting you at,
being
because see, they
ridiculous.
always used to have free
You know what I'm saying?
parking at
Buying a
these
meal
hotels. Now they
person's
charging
like
you for it.
$50. Like, what the? Like Las Vegas was never supposed to be expensive. Because you're spending your machines or all the things that you're doing over there. The artists aren't doing as many shows. That's a lot of reasons why Americans have stopped going to Las Vegas.
Okay, Shabaka, I sent you that
Americans have
documentary.
chilled out on a lot of it. The
Okay.
economy is tight right now in the United States. So that's another reason. So why would you overpay for something?
And you can't even
I know
set
the
up
mayor
there and be a
is
vendor
saying,
no more by the
hey,
Las
y'all
Vegas
business is too
sign.
much. But I can't really control, what y'all set your prices at. But
Yeah,
they need to
Michael
really
just
drop
told me
their
that.
prices if they want people to
Yeah.
come back. Because why would
All
somebody
I
go
remember
over
was
there
Mark Van Den
when they can
Hoover.
go maybe somewhere else and not spend as much money? Yes, people like to take vacation, but people not robbing
Hey,
their money. It's enough
ought to
they're
be
gonna go
cleared
gamble.
up.
And let me tell you something, Las Vegas could crumble too. It could. Now the
Quickly.
woman says that a lot of Canadians will go to Vegas.
Yep,
Now
there it
they're
is
not
right
even
there.
coming. Well, because the way Trump is acting.
I
That's
took
why
this
they're
one
not
from the
coming.
Las Vegas Sun.
Supposed to go through all that.
Yeah.
Cool.
This
I
Facebook took it that page.
Yeah.
Trump
They don't want you
is so
vending
silly
at
that he's
all
hurting
at
the
that
income of
Las
the United
Vegas
States,
sign.
but he don't care. He don't care. As long as his money good, he do not care whatsoever.
Yeah.
But Las Vegas need to drop those prices. Where
And
anybody
drop
paying
the
for
price
parking.
of
Parking should
auto
be free.
insurance in this
If they're a
damn
hotel
place.
guest, it should be free. Period. Y'all just trying to nickel and dime people everywhere you go. Charge for this, a charge for that, a charge for this, a charge for that. Like,
Landmark.
my Lord.
They ain't bounced the wrecking ball off of that yet.
You know what I'm saying? Like the majority of people
I
in this
damn
country
near
are
watched them
rich.
build that
They're not.
building.
There are a lot of people are middle class, some low income, and so that's where the majority of your money gonna come from. You need to cater to the middle class and lower income. Sure, you can have your high roller spots, that's fine, but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think
Las
that's a
Vegas
good business
Boulevard
decision.
right
You
there.
always need to cater to the middle class.
Turn Las
period.
Vegas into
Just be
California.
affordable for families.
That's
And trust
the
me, families will
problem.
be faithful to you. But you heard the how much they used to pay when she was younger? Yeah, people would be in Vegas all day if they was getting that. But them days are long gone.
Long gone, Uncle Phil. Long gone.
They used to have penny slot machines here. They
All
don't
right,
have
so
those
I'm
no
gonna-
more. They don't have no more penny
Damn, they got
slot
rid of the
machines
penny
in none
slot
of these
machines?
casinos. Yeah.
Wow. So it's all dollars and up. $1, $5.
Pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
dollars. Yeah, it's dollars,
Yeah.
$5, and $10. Some of them are even going to $2. Yeah, I told you, man, when I went over there, man, and lost me $11.22, I was mad as hell.
Yeah. I think I broke even. I won like $300. Lost $200 or some crazy shit.
If you broke even, brother, you won. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they used to give you free drinks.
They did. I remember that, Shabaka. They would keep coming around. You want a drink? You want a drink? You want a drink?
Yeah, I want a drink.
Yep.
Oh, they still do they still have the mugs with the cards out there? Or they got rid of all of that? Remember the ones that were like I got tickets to the club, I got tickets to the casino, I got tickets to the strip club, I got tickets to
Oh yeah, no, they charging your asses for it. Most definitely. Yeah, they charging your ass for it. Okay. Okay, Jay Millerton is saying here in the chat. Okay, hold on, Jay Millerton. I'm gonna read it. Yeah, they got WrestleMania going back to Vegas again next year. Yeah. And the tickets are ridiculous this year. People were paying between $40,000 and $80,000 a seat. Yeah.
Hello to the no.
Yeah.
They out there rabbit ass noise.
Exactly. You
Those are
know?
more expensive than Super Bowl tickets. Hell no.
Yeah, exactly. And then you used to be able to apply online to go up there and work for DraftKings, and only openings they got for DraftKings are in New York, New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I got relatives that work for the DraftKings that's been with them for a few years, and they do all their work off their computers. Wish the hell I can get that job.
Right. All right. Well, we're gonna end it here, Shabaka, because it's getting super late.
It's 1 a.m. here. It's October the 1st, which is let's see, what do they call that? The fiscal quarter. Yeah. So this is the start of the last fiscal quarter for 2025. You know what I mean? And what have you. Donald Duck, well, the dump is the dump, as in human shit, you know. And for all you idiots that went out there and voted for him, I guess you dump bunnies feel real stupid, as well as you should. You know what I'm saying?
We was damned if we do, damned if we don't. What was the alternative? Kamala?
Yeah, exactly. You say, and then you got these, how should we say, you know, your Uncle Tim Scotts and what have you. And there was a brother that did a live feed on social media where Uncle Tim Scott was sitting up there skinning and grinning, looking like buckwheat and stymie. And the brother went on and told him that he wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I shared the video for him. You know, I told him, right? And you sitting up there talking about, oh, we need to go out there and
vote. They still got a herpes outbreak. Oh my God.
What? So tricks beware. You know what I'm saying? Like the referee says, protect yourself at all times.
Look around and get the gift that keeps on giving, and it won't stay in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then also to those raggedy ass casinos in California, I have to tell you that you said that there was to generate revenue for the natives, but guess who's the main ones who owns those casinos in California? You guessed it, the Chinese.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
all right, y'all. So we appreciate y'all tapping in. We're gonna end this episode. We're back after a 2-3 week hiatus.
Yeah. And definitely we appreciate everybody for tuning in on this special episode of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. Please donate to the link that Brother Che put up there. And Brother Che, if it's something gets some of significance, please shoot something my way. Then I can get the StreamYard back up, because we should be doing premium everything. You know what I'm saying? But California, you know, and it's bullshit, you know what I'm saying? It's because that's where Facebook is headquartered at. StreamYard is headquartered. Okay, yeah, right on Mac 285. And then also, too, StreamYard is headquartered, people, in Tualatin, Oregon. Okay? Once again, StreamYard is headquartered in Tualatin, Oregon. Ultra conservative area.
Appreciate you coming through, cuz.
Yep. Mac 285. And then Jay Militant, yeah, you know, keep us posted, man, on the Super Bowl being played there up there at Levi Stadium.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you say. And I wonder if they're gonna let Beyonce go up there and do a repeat of her show up there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I doubt it, Shabaka. They have Bad Bunny performing.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's what's really sad. And then the cold part about it is, now here's something there too, people, that we gotta say. You remember America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani? Oh, I tell you, Donald Trump kicked him to the curb real bad.
Well, he got to pay them sisters for the rest of his life, Shabaki. He got to pay them sisters for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah, and the bastard got disbarred. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That was excellent. So hopefully we'll see Giuliani out here standing by the freeway, expressway, highway, with a sign up there talking about he'll work for food.
Right. So this is going to conclude season 10, episode 45 of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced in conjunction with the Front Line Blacc News. Join us Friday for Grand Rising with Shabaka and the Chase. In the meantime, make sure y'all like to subscribe to all of our platforms, Front Line Blacc News on YouTube and Facebook. The Revolutionary Agenda, which Lady J should be doing sometime this week.
Okay, and share, and reshare, because if we can get our numbers up, people, you see what I'm saying? And then we could go up there and offer some advertisement slots for sale, you see? Because we are really trying to save this platform because I'm out of answers, you see? Right. I got notes stacked up right here. I got the paper shredder going on right here. You know, I'm shredding classified documents. You know what I'm saying? You know, so they have to go through the garbage, you know, to fabricate a case against us in these kangaroo courts. You know,
go set it on fire right at the stadium.
Oh no, Lady Chang gonna do that because that there could be used against me in one of these kangaroo courts of law.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and they look up there, Shabaka saying, Corey, oh, you're automatically guilty. Oh, and do let me say this here. Judge Mathis, Greg Mathis, y'all, did a YouTube I think about the last couple of weeks. And he had really crumb bombed on Judge Judy. You know what I mean? Now, Judge Judy, if she was ever a judge in a case against me, her ass would be recused. I would go before Mathis. I would go before Lynn Tyler or Glenda Hatchett. I think she retired. I'd take a case before them. But Judge Judy and her husband, Judge Jerry, straight recusal.
Yeah. So in my final closing, rest in power and paradise to the Queen Mother Assata Shakur.
Absolutely.
Last week at the age of 78. She
lived a full life. Oh yeah, Mac 285. Much respect to Judge Mathis, because Judge Mathis, you know, he'll let you.
Yeah, he lost all my respect, Shabaka. He's a raccoon.
Who, Judge Mathis?
Yes. And
he went raccoon on us. Oh man.
He was caping for Kamala. Y'all remember?
I said it right now.
Okay, my bad. Okay, my bad. I stand corrected on that.
To Charlie Kirk, and the hell with anybody supports that motherfucker. We don't care if guess or not. That motherfucker was a racist white supremacist. He was a modern day David Duke. And if you don't understand that, then everything else that you think you understand will only confuse you in all human activity.
And made the spirit and made
entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
And may the spirit of Muhammad Ali.
Judge Go Brown. Yeah, Judge Go Brown is cooning too.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then May the spirit of Muhammad Ali pound Charlie Kirk for the rest of eternity.
They're not in the same
They're not in the same place, Shabaka.
Well, you got a point on that. Yeah.
They're not in the same place.
It's all good, Mac 285. All right, y'all. So appreciate y'all tapping in. We'll see y'all on Friday for Grand Rising with Shabaka in the Chase.
Yeah, and please hit that donation app to Brother Che, because I'm asking Brother Che to send me some money so I can keep this platform up right there and bring it back bigger and stronger, because we got a lot of time invested in this, you know, and I'm more closer to my death than my birth. I would like to have a little bit of fun before I go out. You know what I'm saying? You know,
yeah.
Whatnot. You know, yeah. So, and Kamala Harris, please do not run for governor of California, Kamala. You know what I'm saying? Gruesome Newsom, you belong in jail too. To the state of California, I am so glad I'm no longer a resident of you clowns. You know what I'm saying? I really am. I really am. Because you want to charge a motherfucker out there $25 for a driver's license for 4 years. Out here in the great state of Nevada, I think I paid like $14 and my license is good for the next 7 years. You see, and within 7 years, I won't be able to drive anyway. You know what I'm saying?
You'll still be driving, Shabaka. You ain't going nowhere.
Who knows? Maybe I'll go in the Google car. You know what I'm saying?
Not the Google cars.
Oh, man, they got them out here, man. You know. And I passed by the Google car and I saw a dude driving a Google car. I said, hey, man, why are you driving a Google car? Ain't that piece of junk self-sufficient? Well, we're doing a maintenance check on it, sir. And I'm saying, yeah, right. Don't get in no Google cars. Right. You know, and I'm sure Jay Militant will have fun with me on that, because I saw, man, I never forget when last time I was in Frisco, man, saw Google cars. My question is, if the Google car crash into you, who do you sue?
Google.
Elon.
Google.
Oh, you get to sue Stinky Bird for that? Oh, yeah?
Look, one of them hit somebody and killed someone.
Google. You have to sue Google. It's a Google car.
Well, it's actually owned by Meta, right? So, right? Google owned by Meta?
No, Google is owned by
if you ever come to Las Vegas, there's this dude out here, and his slogan is, if you're in a wreck and need a check, give him a call.
I don't remember who it is.
Somebody's getting that. Somebody's getting that letter.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna bid you a farewell, Shabaka, from the Mile High incoming illegal migrant flooded city in a sundown town known as Aurora, Colorado.
All right. Okay. Y'all take care and have a nice night or good morning to y'all. It is October the 1st. So guess what, people? That's getting ready to happen. Tax time. Get all your deductions while you can. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that dumpster boy is going to be getting in everybody's pocket, man, you know, by April the 15th. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but then
it's late time,
Joe Biden, and thank Joe Biden with his no good ass. You know what I'm saying? That don't want people being gig drivers. You know, they want you to be an employee for DoorDash. They want you to be an employee for Uber. So thank Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying, for killing, you know, self-employment. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bidding y'all a good night, good morning, or whatever what the hell it is from Sin City. Come on, 7-Eleven. Clack, clack. I'm out.
Peace.
The National Guard will be out on the streets of D.C. this morning. They're joining residents and police in an attempt to cut down on crime. Ron Talley is live at police headquarters with the latest. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, Daria. If anyone thought that this latest crackdown on crime by Chief Larry Salisbury was short-lived, they can think again. It continues en masse. 15 more arrests yesterday in one raid alone. 2 weeks ago, Chief Salisbury promised to move his